Oh, yeah. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Great day. Great day to be here with all of you. Already populating the chat on YouTube. Love to see that. Love when you guys get up early with us. It was a struggle getting up this morning. I'm not going to lie. But I'm here, and I'm ready to rock today. I'm actually in a very, very good mood. Very excited to see my brothers. Paulie Reindl is our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great. And Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Now, I texted you guys last night. Did you actually place a bet with each other, side bet, on whether I would go to the concert that I said I was going to go to?
No, I don't think either of us cared that much since you were going to a concert last night. But when you texted us, and it was after like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you said they were just 2 songs into their set.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden I was like, okay, this is pretty late for Woods.
It was.
He's usually like asleep. If there's no baseball, he's usually asleep by this point, and he's only 2 songs in to a show that he's at, that he's not sure how long he's going to stay at.
Well, I knew exactly how long I was going to stay. What had kind of thrown me off was that the band that I went to see, Not a Surf is the name of the band, and I've been around a long time. Very tight band, great band, beautiful band. At the Belly Up Tavern, just drove down there, and I got there about 7:45, 8. And I was thinking, from everything I'd seen online, they're going to walk on stage about 8:45. So I go in, get a drink, whatever, and find a spot.
Was there an opening act before?
There was, and they were really good. The band from New Zealand, and I can't remember their name. I would like to give them a shout-out, but I forgot.
The Kiwis.
They're not the Kiwis. No, they're not the Kiwis. They were good, though. And so right when I walked in the door, though, the guy at the front's like, all right, they come on at 9. And it was only 15 minutes, but I was like, so everything starts going through my head. Should I just bail? Should I just bail now if it's 9? 8:45, for whatever reason, seemed way earlier.
I don't know. 9 o'clock on a Monday seems
late.
Criminal.
Yeah.
And nothing should start at 9 o'clock on a Monday.
I know, and I really felt the need for
I guess Monday Night Football on the East Coast used to start at 9 o'clock, because it used to start at 6 o'clock on the West Coast.
Yeah.
It used
9
to start
p.m.
at 9 o'clock on a Monday. Dude. That's crazy.
And so it's funny, I was walking in the door, and I ran into our beloved Susan DeVincent. Remember Susan? She used to actually be a part of this program.
Yeah.
She did traffic, right?
Correct.
Yeah. But they would bring her in, and she would sit in here, and we would shoot the breeze with her. She looks fantastic. She loves Not a Surf. So I talked to her. Then I walked in and ran into my boy TJ, who is the lead singer of a band called Miniaturized, and he's just one of my favorite people in the world, with his beautiful girlfriend, Julia. And so I got to straight away walked in, and I had some friendly faces. And, man, big hugs. Catching up. My buddy TJ almost passed away. He had gallstone. He had a gallstone. And he's been around the music scene here forever. He had a gallstone that had gotten caught in his intestine. The guy went in to get it and nicked his intestine. Then he went septic. He was in the hospital. An overnight surgery turned into a 3-month battle for his life.
Jeez.
And I got to see him last night. Of course. Guy looks like a bodybuilder again. He looks great. And I'm looking at him like, you literally were almost dead. And I'm like, you still are in better shape than me. And he starts laughing, and we caught up talking about our kids, our family. So that was beautiful. And then I got to see Halloran, Mike Halloran, the legendary Halloran from 91X, 94.9, who's a musical icon in this town. Got to see Hal, and ran into some tier 1 as well. And it was great, man. And then the show started, and they sounded so good. And I really had I got nostalgic for the old days of, having a few cocktails, seeing a great show with not a huge crowd. I mean, it was a good crowd for this band, but not overwhelming. And no one was out of control. Everyone was just smiling. I kept noticing the people in the front row just smiling and singing along. It was just a beautiful night. And I got really I missed kind of my 20s a little bit. So I had one cocktail. I had just Makers and water. And boy, that tasted good. Whew. It was all I could do to say, nope, I'm good on the second one. It was all I could do because, boy, as soon as it hit your lips, I was like, Whew, now we're talking.
Look at that discipline.
It had to be discipline, man. So then, I had a sneak peek at their set list. And so I knew when they were playing my favorite song, Killian's Red. And I also knew some of the songs after. I was like, there's a little bit of a lull. And then they get really good. I said, but I can't be here for the really good. If you want to flip the lull and the really good, I'll stay. But you're not going to. So they played my song. The last note hit. Out the door. In bed by 10 o'clock.
Nice. Whoa.
In bed by 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was
9 o'clock show.
9 o'clock show.
In bed by
10. It's
maybe not
nuts.
getting your full money's worth for the experience.
No.
But for you, probably a nice, efficient night.
So the tickets were $50, and I heard out of the 7 songs I heard, I love 5 of them. So would you pay $10 to hear a beautiful song at a show with good area to see it in? Yes, 100%. So I didn't feel shortchanged at all. But I came home. I was in bed by 10, and I feel pretty good.
I assume that most music lovers, especially North County, have been to Belly Up.
Yeah.
For those who haven't, it really
place,
is a
man.
terrific venue in Solana Beach on Cedros there. It's kind of both intimate yet large enough. I mean, I don't know how many people do you think they can get in there for a show? I've been to several there. You've probably been to a million at the Belly
I've been
Up.
to so many at the Belly Up. Well, I mean,
It's been a long time, but
500?
I was going to say somewhere between 500 and 1,000.
Yeah,
Can
but
you get that many people in there?
I just don't know. I don't know, but it feels, they've got the balconies and then the stage, tables. It's just, however you kind of want to experience it. It's always been, I think, probably my favorite venue for someone who doesn't love music like you do. But if I'm going to go, that's where I probably want to go see something.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it tremendously.
Quick Google search. Max reception capacity is 600.
Okay, 500-600.
Seated capacity is 100 if you have a different event.
Kurt said he saw Ben's favorite artist there, Christopher Cross.
Oh.
Could you imagine Christopher Cross at the Belly Up? I mean, just sailing to all the North County, literal sailors up in the North County like yourself.
That's where my mother climbed into the crawl space next door
To
at
listen to
the
the
hairdresser
Stones.
to
Yeah.
listen to the Rolling Stones,
one
but
of
she
your-
couldn't get in.
It's one of the coolest stories about your mom ever. Just brilliant.
Was that the secret show?
Yeah,
they
the
put
secret
on?
show
Yeah,
that
I
you
had a
heard about.
friend
Couldn't
there.
get in,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
knew the hairdresser, went to the salon next door, crawled into their crawl space, and just
incredible.
listened to Mick Jagger and
All
company.
right, Belly Up. He's just out there. Your mom's just muffled through the wall. It's so good. I saw Dallas McLaughlin, who's been on the show many, many times, and my buddy Nick McCann as well. It was great, man. It was a fun night. And again, as I was driving home, I thought, man, my 20s were so much fun. I had so much fun. We went to shows all the time on Mondays, Tuesdays. And, I was in sales. And when you're in sales, you can go to shows on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, because I'll just spill it. You just make up fake meetings in the morning and you don't go to them, which is
Really?
great. Yeah, so you can go out and rage at Not a Surf. You see the whole show.
A client of mine really likes Not a Surf.
Or
New business.
that's a good bit.
You're trying to drum up some new business. I've got a meeting with a potential new client.
Yeah, 9:15.
And then it just doesn't pan out. Oh, yeah, we had a good meeting, but they just don't have the money to spend
They
right
said
now.
hit me back in 6 months.
When they, new budgets come
Yeah.
out and they definitely are interested.
Yeah,
and
but
that's
I
all you have to say.
Dropped
And
off a packet, and we went over it a little bit, but he's just not in the position. I thought it was a little bit hotter lead. I'll be in at about I got I'm going to do a little cold calling. I'm going to grab a lunch. I'll be in about 12:30.
The art of fake work is definitely something that needs to be discussed.
It's hard to do on this show. It's very hard
It
to
is
come in
very
here
hard.
and sit here and not work. You have to do it. I can't just show up and be like this.
Yeah, we got cameras now too.
Cameras
It does not help.
and you can zone out a little bit.
Yeah.
You can get a little zone out time, but you cannot come in here and be like, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I can't call Adam and go, hey, show was great today. And I was never on the show. He knows. My wife knows. I'm here. Everyone knows this is where I'm at.
I will say now, at the TV station, and hopefully none of my bosses are up early listening, if I put my nose to the grindstone and I know what I'm covering and I write and edit really quickly, I can end up with an hour or two before the show where I'm just okay,
Sitting
I'm
on your
really
ass,
done, and I don't really want to work on any future projects at this moment, so I'm just sitting there surfing the web for a while, just killing time until I'm on the air. But yeah, this job is tough to do anything fake out.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just come on here and, the fun thing about this job, though, is you can come on here and talk about literally anything you want. And we we failed to mention this yesterday, and I had meant to after thinking about it all weekend. Now, my dad's favorite golfer of all time is Arnold Palmer. I'm a big fan of the Arnold Palmer drink. I know you are as well. Paulie, are you you're an Arnold Palmer guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Iced tea and lemonade. It just honestly doesn't get much better or refreshing than that. Water's good on the golf course, but when you get a delicious, fresh Arnold Palmer, you're like,
what's your ratio? I'm
half and half, man.
I'm more like 75% tea.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Just a little lemonade for sweetness.
I'm half and half. And I like tea, I like lemonade, I like them separate, but boy, you mix those things together.
It's good.
And you are on the golf course and you're playing with your buddies and you're like, this is the life. Like, this is about as good as it gets right now. Sucking down an AP and driving around playing golf. And I noticed over the weekend, now again, we don't talk politics much, but I don't think this is politics. I think this is funny, and I think it's sports adjacent. But I didn't expect this weekend to find audio of former President Trump talking about Arnold Palmer's hog. It exists. And he was doing a speech. I'm not even sure where he was doing the speech. And I saw it on Twitter at first. I go, well, surely there's no audio of this because this can't be real. It's real.
But this is a guy that was all man. His man was strong and tough.
Yeah.
And I refuse to say it, but he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God.
Oh.
That's unbelievable. I had to say it.
He
was packing.
Now it's politics. You have to fact check everything in politics.
That's true.
And I have checked in with my golf sources.
You have.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Apparently, it is true.
Long iron, not a short iron.
This is 100% factual about Arnie.
So I had the thought that that's a wild thing to talk about, no matter where if you're right, left, if you're down the middle, libertarian, it doesn't matter. That's a weird thing to bring up in a speech. I think can we all agree on that? It's a weird thing to talk about in a speech.
It's a weird thing to bring up if you're grabbing a beer with your buddy.
That's true.
It's a little weird on the show right now.
You hear about that guy's penis? It's unbelievable. So I thought about it, and I said, well, yeah, I mean, it's sports. We can talk about it, certainly. But then I had the idea. I said, I wonder if he's doing bits. If he's like Sacha Baron Cohen, or if he's like, Jesse Agler doing the Incorporator. He's backstage and like, all right, Mr. President, you have the speech coming up. Here it is, loaded up for you, and you're good to go. If you want to go off the cuff, he's like, give me a word, give me something, give me a topic. And they're
there's
like,
no way you could possibly.
There's no chance.
Bring up
How about
Arnold Palmer's dong.
Yeah, how about Arnold Palmer's wiener? You do that for me? And he's like, done. It's done. No. I was kidding. No. It's done. He does like $100 bet every time he does it. So he goes out and he lays it out for all of us to hear again.
And I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God.
I saw a Paul Azinger apparently quote, who was in the locker room at a tournament somewhere with Arnold, came out of the shower and goes, Arnie, put a leash on that thing.
It gives me great peace to think that it's just an Incorporator bit. Honestly, it gives me a lot more peace because nobody would ever do that. Nobody would ever talk about that.
Jesse Agler just texted me. He's not doing the Incorporator.
He's not doing it anymore. I'm not doing it anymore ever again. That's fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. But yeah, like I said, we can talk about anything on this program. And today we will.
We will. I mean, we can talk about A.J. Preller's Zoom 45 minutes that I can pretty much boil down into, I don't know.
4 hours.
Yeah, well, probably 10 seconds if you really press me on it, and I will try to do that next as we set up the menu. We will hear some of AJ Preller coming up, but I can I can sum it up for you in a sentence or two if you'd like. We will get to that, and by the way, looking forward to something immensely today in our 7 o'clock hour. I will let you know what it is. We are very happy to have you with us on all of our platforms, radio, on our streaming app, on YouTube, wherever you catch us. Thank you for joining us on a Tuesday morning. Paul Reindl, Stephen Woods, Ben Higgins, and Kelly Danick, the new Susan DeVincent with Traffic, coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Apparently, Woods, and I did not realize this until yesterday. The next 2 weeks may be the most important in the history of the San Diego Padres franchise, if A.J. Preller is to be believed. Dodgers, Yankees, they're just playing in the World Series over the next couple of weeks. That pales in comparison to the gargantuan work that will be going on in the front offices at Petco Park. Because based on yesterday's 45-minute Zoom news conference, I will sum it up for you in one sentence. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Padres will be decided in the next 2 weeks by A.J. Preller.
I almost felt yesterday, and we'll play the audio, that, I texted you guys. I said, so should we have just done this 2 weeks from now? Or, because every question was asked, was like, yeah, a couple weeks.
So we'll be looking at that in the next couple of weeks.
Conversations of the next couple weeks.
We'll be talking to Eric Katsenda and Eric Grupner in the next couple of weeks.
We're going to talk to players and their agents in the next couple of weeks.
We'll talk to Mike Schilt and the coaching staff in the next couple of weeks.
So me that was calling for this, it's my fault because I was calling for this early. And he probably like,
I just let him do it on their time.
I got to shut this guy up. He's on the flagship morning show pounding me for not doing a Zoom, but I don't have anything for him until November 7th. We have a new entrant, by the way, into the Dodgers spelling bee. Just saw it this morning in the chat. Goes by Alive CS213. And he wants to let everybody know that the Padres, he says, 45 years of chalking, right? Or am I wrong? What he wanted to say, he meant choking. My man, it's CHOKING. Chalking is not actually a word.
No.
Chalking.
Now it's CHALKING if you're like putting lines down on a baseball
that's
field.
Chalking.
That would be chalking.
If you have caulk and you need to caulk your shower, that's caulking. CAULKING. So again, you're morons. Learn how to spell. My son, who's 6, knows how to spell choke and choking. The Dodgers spelling bee is going to feed families. How many rounds can they go? One? Spell choke. CHOCK. You're out. You're done.
Well, the first one to get one right is your champion.
All right, spell loser. LOOSER. Nope. Wrong.
It's a great bit idea, but it's going to last.
It's going to last
30
4 seconds. Chalking. Yes. Whatever your name is. We've been chalking for 45 years as Padres fans. Chalking.
It's like that scene in Billy Madison. Spell couch. COR. Are you going to the mall later?
He gives him the look. Are you going to the mall later? That's what I was going to ask. It's the greatest. This is the greatest bit in radio history. Choke. 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 Say it to yourself. Repeat it as you're driving around stuck in traffic today in L.A. Choke. CHOKE. Nobody knows more about postseason chalking than the L.A. Dodgers. No one. A lot of opportunities to do it. I'll give you that. But nobody chalks more than you morons. Nobody. Keep them coming. This is the food for my soul.
Personally, I think the Dodgers are solid favorites this week, which means they do have another opportunity to chalk it away.
Yeah.
Against the New York Yankees.
It away. Francisco says, hey, let me enter that spelling bee. I'll smoke all of you. He spelled everything right. You're in. You're in. It's a very rudimentary spelling test. My son, 6 years old in first grade, he does a spelling bee every Friday, and he brings the words home, and we go over them at the table. I'm happy to do that with you absolute buffoons anytime. I'm here to help. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you guys. Not look like idiots.
I know we have a lot of wonderful teachers in our listening audience. Maybe when we have the Dodger spelling bee, we can get a, elementary school teacher to come in and give a proper spelling lesson.
That would be phenomenal. I mean, how do you teach like a grown man how to spell the word choke? It's just repetition. You got to write it down. You got to commit to it. Lose. LOSE. It's not looser. Looser is my pants. If I lose some weight, they are now looser than they were. You look like such a idiot when you come into our chat and tell us how we chalked and we're losers. I'm telling you this for your own pride. Have some pride in how you spell and how you talk trash.
Technology's made it so much easier with
You
spell
have to
check.
be an idiot.
Like, you have
to
to
not spell
try.
things. You have to try to be a moron to misspell words. You have to try to be an obstinate moron in the year 2024.
Whether you have an iPhone, an Android, whatever. If you're on your computer, you get the little red squiggly lines underneath.
I can't wait for this. Paulie, get on this. This needs to happen. Blindfolded in all their gear, and Ben just doing a spelling bee for them. All right, can you use it in a sentence? The Dodgers lose to the Yankees. L-O-O-S-E. Nope. You're wrong again.
Ding.
That's loose.
Spelling bees are always weird because actually the ding is the wrong answer.
That's right, yeah.
Yes,
that's the wrong answer.
In a spelling bee, that's the wrong answer sound. Now, on like real or fake, that's the right answer sound, but that's the wrong answer in a spelling bee.
Just incredible. All right, I digress.
All right, you digress for a second.
Keep them coming. This is chicken soup for my soul, watching you guys fumble all around the most basic English words.
So A.J. Preller would lead us to believe that he hasn't even given a moment's thought to the future, and it will all be happening over the next 2 weeks. I suspect that in some quiet moments he's actually already given a lot of this thought, and there are plans and ideas in place for the Padres' future. He just wasn't really willing to discuss them. However, there were, if you read between A.J.'s lines, a couple of interesting comments that we can discuss and we will get to coming up in our next segment. There were a couple of good questions as well. Not as many great answers, but some good questions that needed to be asked about the Padres offseason, and we will give you our spin on that coming up here at 6:35 in our 7 o'clock hour. Got Take on Woods, had a couple of Monday Night Football games last night. Don't do this. I am really looking forward to 7:35, though, and I think Woods is as well. Today is the start of the National Basketball Association season. And Woodsy's actually going to help us prepare for that season with a preview. And he's done some homework, if I'm not mistaken.
Like, way more than
so
I
much
wanted to do.
I get the sense that you're now almost excited for basketball season and actually really bummed we don't have a team here in San Diego.
I'll tell you my whole experience yesterday.
We'll talk about that coming up at 7:35 today.
Basketball Woods, buddy.
Second half of the program, we'll get back into A.J. Preller. Paulie's got a round of report and some headlines. It's a guest-free Tuesday today, our first without Jesse in a while, which makes me a little sad, of course, but got to give Jesse some time to recharge the batteries here in the offseason. Lead up to Andy and Elston coming up at 10 o'clock. When we come back, though, A.J. talked about a few different topics, including more than I expected about the last two games of the playoffs and getting shut out twice in a row. I thought, that's just going to get glossed over. Wasn't totally glossed over. AJ actually addressed it. We will get to that and more coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Would you say that there was any news that came out yesterday from A.J. Preller?
I mean, other than the fact that he looked fantastic,
All right.
no.
Yeah, he did look good, didn't he?
Start there.
Yeah, he actually looked healthy.
When the screen jumped up, I went, oh, I was not that he ever looks bad, but you would imagine a season like that just kicked his teeth in, right? And like he looked really good and refreshed.
I think part of it is that usually when we see him, we'll be like right at the end of the trade deadline, where he's probably getting
been up for 3 days,
very little sleep, and is pretty tired from work. And over this last week, unfortunately, he probably was able to get a little bit of rest over the last few days, which is not what he wanted. He would have loved to have been up and stressing about baseball games, but did look actually pretty good when he joined the local assembled media on a 45-minute Zoom news conference. There was at least one bit of news, I think, that came out. We will get to that coming up right after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the Mini Donut Company. Well, guys, it continues to be a pretty uneventful ride on our roads, but we'll take it. Yeah, no incidents or accidents to report at this time to start to see the usual slowing in the usual spots. Everyone loves when someone brings donuts to the office, but we're all too chicken to take a full one, so they end up cut into pieces. I know that doesn't happen in our office, but guess it happens at a lot of others. But yeah, the Mini Donut Company offers bite-sized, guilt-free mini donuts that are perfect for work, parties, weddings, and more. Visit getminidonuts.com and be the office hero. Now open at UTC Mall. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So while we didn't get any clarity on payroll levels for next year, or who's going to play shortstop, or necessarily how they're going to replace Joe Musgrove in the starting rotation, if there was one bit of news, not that it was unexpected, but the idea that Mike Shildt, who is heading into the final year of his 2-year contract as manager, may be up for an extension was broached, and you could tell that AJ was definitely willing to go down that road. Here's what he said about the priority of extending Mike Shildt this offseason.
And I think, again, we just started. So, just started those conversations in terms of myself and sitting down with Eric Gatzender and Eric Grubner and others. And, I think, again, we talk about getting people with ability and then having stability. And rewarding people that perform. So, I think from our standpoint, that's going to be something that we look to do here over the course of the next couple of weeks. Is try to see if we can line up with Mike and the coaching staff, and having a group that's shown that they can get results and did a good job with this group and this staff is, making sure that people feel rewarded and that we have some people that are together in that area and from a coaching standpoint that are able to come back and kind of build and grow on what we did this year. So again, starting those conversations, that's what the off season's for. But the motivation's there to try to see if we can line up. And I know from Mike's standpoint, he obviously enjoys it here, wants to be here. But I know his focus also is just go get better. And if you do that, then, I think he has a lot of trust and faith that things are, from an organization standpoint, that we'll figure some things out there.
All right. Well,
great. Yeah.
If I'm an employee and that was my boss and he's talking about wanting to reward people for doing a job well and going to have some discussions here in the next couple of weeks and hoping to line up on something, I'm feeling fairly encouraged that, when my agent talks to A.J. Preller, we're going to be able to get something done, and I'm going to have some security for at least the next maybe 2 more years after this one. Sure. I would say it would be fair to extend him 2 more for a total of 3-year deal. Wipe out this year, just new 3-year contract for Mike Shildt, something like that. I would not be surprised to hear announced in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, no question. I thought the exact same thing when I listened to AJ talk yesterday about Shilty, and he mentioned Ben Fritz. He mentioned somebody asked about Ruben Niebla and what are his qualifications as far as does he want to be a manager, and he spoke glowingly about Ruben as well, talking about how He's everybody likes Ruben. Ruben really likes being here. So he mentioned the phrase line up. We're going to try to line up with these guys in the next couple of weeks. Got to find out what they want, what they're looking for, and if you guys can match it up. And yeah, I mean, it's for us, the fans, it's a no-brainer to bring the same group back.
I got the sense, and he asked later, we don't need to play the whole answer, that when he was talking about Ruben Niebla, clearly would love to have Ruben back as pitching coach. Not going to stand in his way if he gets, an offer to be a manager somewhere, and that, that's clearly Mike Schilt's job right now. But I just got the sense that someday down the line, that Mike Schilt's tenure and Ruben Niebla's tenure goes around, that they would even consider like Ruben is possibly like an heir to Mike Schilt at some point.
I mean, Schilt's still pretty young.
Yeah, that's true.
So unless he didn't want to do it or they didn't want him to do it, but that's always kind of a weird thing to be like, hey, things don't work out with you. Don't worry.
Well,
I need you to get him ready.
They're only 4 years apart.
Yeah, the 4 years apart.
Ultimately, things don't work out with managers at some point. All the time.
Correct.
Yeah, even if this year went well, next year went well, at some point, managers,
unless you're Bud Black.
Managers are...
Unless you're Tier 1 Buddy Black, then you are basically... You graduated in for the. I mean, he's just 1 year deal. He's like, yep, I'm in.
Good morning, buddy, if you're listening.
We love you, buddy.
And I think that there is a sense maybe from AJ that if they ever needed to make a move for whatever reason, they'd have at least an interim manager, a guy who would get a very hard look.
Oh, yeah.
In Ruben Niebla in their own dugout already. Meanwhile, AJ was also asked about the end of the 2024 playoffs, the 2 straight shutouts, the 24 straight innings without scoring a run. And I was really expecting him to gloss over, the lack of offense is simply baseball being baseball. And while there was some of that, there was also, and I want you to listen to his answer here, I thought there was an acknowledgement that the Padres did not stick with what had been working for themselves, almost all season long. Here's what AJ said about the loss to the Dodgers and the 2 shutouts.
Again, it's part of it is like, postseason baseball, it's 2 games. I mean, I think, you look up and, if a guy goes 0 for 8, he's not a postseason performer. And, obviously during the regular season, it's just 0 for 8, it's 2 games, et cetera. So, I think we'll, again, like talk about it a little bit more. I think our offense worked best when it was kind of move the line, use the big part of the field. Obviously credit to the Dodger pitching. We know that they've got a good staff, especially a good, that bullpen staff. We didn't quite solve that, at the end of the season. But probably a little bit of, hey, it's 2 games. I think we'll look at it as a group and see, hey, are there any other learnings we can have in terms of, to make sure that, our offense from top to bottom all year long, and especially in the postseason, clicks on all cylinders. But, I think we're best when we're moving the ball, putting pressure on other teams, and we didn't quite do that enough at the end of the year. And, I think we'll dig in a little bit more there and make sure that we're in a spot all year next year where we're playing the style of offense we want to play.
It's that weird thing about baseball when you try to do too much and it actually ends up hurting you. And you saw it a little bit in that game. And guys that typically don't do that, the Jerks and Profars of the world, the Jackson Merrills, just watching Jackson expand his zone that he had carefully crafted and honed for 160 games that he played in, to watch him go out of the zone and up and down. It just you're looking at that going, I get it, man. You're trying to do something. You're trying to get a spark here. You're trying to barrel one. You're trying to yak one out. Manny coming so close for Manny. That's what he's paid to do.
I pushed back a little bit because I saw so many fans going, they're swinging for the fences.
Hero ball,
you can tell that because they always swing hard. I mean,
I'm not even saying swinging for the fences.
I know you're not a big, but a lot of people said, they're trying to do too much. They're trying to, hit home runs. And
for me, it's just expanding. That's it.
That's part of it. But I kind of pushed back on that. But AJ did somewhat acknowledge that his team did not do what had made them so successful for 167 games that they had played.
Yeah, it's tough.
And had worked offensively.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the last 2 didn't seem like the same San Diego Padres.
And it's partly because the Dodgers bullpen was really, really good, and they've remained good. It's not like we just got torched by a bullpen that got torched in its next series, right? Like, oh my God, how didn't we hit these guys? They're on a historic run right now. Like,
True.
It's crazy. So, yes, they get a ton of credit for that. But, when Profar's not able to find his way on base for Manny, for Jackson Merrill, when Jackson expands his zone, goes out of his comfort zone and what he was really best at, it is up and down the line, man. I'm not singling just Luis Ariz hitting weak pop fly. I mean, that's just brutal for your offense that needs Luis Ariz to get on base. It needs Toddy to get him over. It needs Manny to get him in. It needs Profar to be on base for Merrill. Like, all of that, it just stopped because, again, Benny, the chokehold, right? It just gets a little tighter. Oh, God, we haven't scored in 7 innings. Oh, God, we haven't scored in 8 innings. Oh, my God, we have not scored in 12 innings. You can't tell me that a human being isn't going to go up there and try to do too much. A human being, even though they are finely tuned elite athletes, when you haven't scored for 14 innings, 16 innings, 18 innings, you're telling me you're going to go up there and be like, I'm cool, man. I'm breezy. I'm just going to see ball, hit ball.
It's 100% understandable, but it's also that's the job of the professional athlete.
And that's the job of
short memory.
Yep.
Sticking with what is going to work and not trying to do too much.
Oh, sorry, the chalk hold. That's what I meant. They're in a chalk hold.
And AJ did say, we'll just have to look into just a little bit to make sure that we stick with what has been working so well for us, and it doesn't happen again in the postseason.
And it's so funny because I wasn't in the room, but wouldn't you guys all bet money that Victor Rodriguez, what do you think his message was to the guys? Hey, go up there and swing out of your ass. Just try to really just barrel it out of here. No, it was, hey, relax, stay with what's gotten you here. That's the message. You have to be able to do it, and I think very much they I don't want to say they panicked, but they pressed. They really pressed, and you saw them press, and they pressed against some really good pitchers that were able to exploit that. And I kind of agreed with a buddy of mine that former baseball player, played at UCLA. He's a Dodger fan, and we talked about it after the game, the bullpen game. He goes, man, actually after the series ended, he goes, I kind of knew we had you guys cooked when I heard the post-game audio from Manny, Merrill, Profar, all the guys saying, it's tough to figure out that bullpen night, man. It's hard to get anything going. Kind of in the dome a little bit about what's going to happen. And I like the honesty, certainly, but they were not able to figure that out.
And nor was the Dodgers ever able to figure out the Padres bullpen in that series either. But they ran into a couple in that last game against Yu Darvish.
That's
the
it.
Padres,
2 mistakes, man.
Padres did not run into a couple
2-0,
against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And that really was the difference. And after that, nothing else. The bullpen, the Dodgers didn't have some secret formula for beating the Padres.
They did not hit us like they hit the Mets.
No, not at all. They simply ran into 2 that the Padres, died at the warning track. And that was ultimately the difference in that last game. I think both teams were kind of pressing, but someone's going to win and someone's going to lose. And, fate favored the Dodgers in that game 5. And they capitalized on it, went on to, I think ramp up their offense even more, obviously, against the Mets, and are in, I think, really good shape now going into the World Series.
Bro, it's so funny to watch the difference in pitching, starting and bullpen, from the Padres and the Mets. You're talking elite. There's a separation between what we were running out there and what the Mets were running out there on a nightly basis, and it showed. It showed, as far as the way that they were able to hit, beat the crap out of the Mets pen, beat the crap out of the Mets starters. It's what makes it a little bit more difficult to stomach. And I know, it'll be 2 weeks this Friday. It ain't any easier. I'm, again, still muttering to myself, 24 innings, two hits. Yep. I'm still muttering it to myself. It's going to take a while to get over that.
Sunday night, I looked over to Megan. I go,
2 hits.
24 innings.
24 innings. It's either 24 innings or 2 hits. They both suck.
Yeah. Which one's worse? I don't know.
Which one's worse? I think the 2 hits on the last night is the worst. The one night we needed you to, 7, 8 hits and 4 runs wins that. 3 runs wins that game.
2 hits.
What was our thing all season? You score 4 runs, you win. You got 2 hits.
So as AJ said, next couple of weeks they're going to have a lot of internal meetings and start formulating or at least refining the direction for the 2025 season when it comes to payroll and filling specific needs on the roster. He did mention that he'll have more clarity at and after the general managers meetings, which begin on November 4th. So that's less than 2 weeks from now. That's a week from Monday that they'll begin the GM meetings, and then he'll have kind of a better idea as they go through what they can do, what potential trade partners might be out there, what can and can't be done in free agency this offseason. But he really didn't give us many specifics. What he did tell us, and we'll talk about it coming up later in the program.
Do you want to keep it rolling?
We can keep it rolling.
Let's keep it rolling
you
instead of
rolling
NFL talk.
All right, we can keep it rolling.
Yeah,
he talked about the competitive window for the San Diego Padres and the one player that is pivotal for the Padres' success in 2025. We'll get to that and play a little Take on Woods when we come back on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, Woods made the audible. No NFL talk here.
Sorry about it.
Chargers lost.
They did.
I'm satisfied with that result. We can move on now.
And the Ravens won.
5 touchdown passes for Lamar Jackson.
And covered.
41-31. There you go. There's your Monday Night Football doubleheader wrap-up with Ben and Woods. We should get that sponsored or something. That was good.
Yeah, are you ready for football? The doubleheader wrap-up.
All right.
Client's like, what sport is this for?
So tell me whether you think that what A.J. Preller said yesterday was always the plan or kind of after-the-fact plan. But he talked about the Padres' competitive window and said basically when he was hired, and what was that, 2015, taking over as general manager.
Correct.
That he was pretty much given the directive, I assume, by Ron Fowler and Peter Seidler at that point. We want to be competitive throughout the 2020s. So
yes.
you got a good 4-year window here to get us set up with, farm system, give us a nice, base. And then when we hit the 2020s,
let's roll.
We want to be competitive, playoffs, challenging for World Series titles, and eventually bringing that parade to San Diego. Because when you look at the timeline, obviously with some ups and downs, a hiccup here or there, they were not competitive for the first 4 years through 2019. And then 2020 in the pandemic season, playoffs. 2021 started great, finished poorly, didn't make the playoffs. 2022 NLCS. 2023 had all the talent in the world, didn't work out. And 2024 playoffs again. So
won a playoff series in 22 and 24.
And 20. Yeah, and 3 playoff series, 3 years with playoff series wins. So in that sense, the plan set out for A.J. Preller, he has mostly succeeded on, I guess, if that really was the plan. Is that fair?
Yeah. Again, and he did make a point over and over and over in the press conference to talk about how they're just not even close to satisfied. I did like to hear that. It is something you want to hear from your president of baseball ops and basically the
motivated is the word he used a lot.
A lot. And again, not satisfied until we bring a World Series here. We're not satisfied until we bring a World Series here. Look, it's one thing to say it, but do the actions back up the words? I think the answer is yes. Do the results? No. But I think the actions do. I don't know that you could say, and again, you're not going to hit on 100% of the moves and contracts you made, and there have been some bad ones. There have been bad managerial hires. There's been in under his tenure, there's been a lot of missteps, which is not super uncommon for GMs. Can we absorb those mistakes and move forward and continue to give ourselves a chance to win a World Series? Yeah, that remains to be seen, but I like it so far.
I think to answer Ben's question about A.J. Preller and his tenure and has he succeeded, I think he has succeeded for the goals that were set in front of him when he took over.
Correct.
It was make this team relevant, interesting, on everybody else's radar. He has done that. Now you're in that world with the Dodgers, the Yankees of, okay, we've been here. Now we got to take it to the next level.
The next step.
We have to win one. And now he's trying to do that.
And I think the big question as you head toward the second half of this decade of, competitiveness is, can you sustain it, especially given payroll obligations that, we talked about it yesterday in terms of, what the Padres are already committed to and how little flexibility they may have when it comes to the luxury tax going forward. Can the Padres keep that competitive window open for the next few years? And on that subject, AJ was fairly optimistic, and this was kind of framed in a question about players who are entering free agency or, going to be a free agent and whether they're going to be able to extend them or talk about deals with guys like Michael King and Dylan Cease and Luis Ariz. But AJ kind of expanded on why he feels the Padres are now in a good spot going forward.
So far, it's just been some real baseline, some real basic communication with agents, just explaining like, hey, we're interested, and we'll have some conversations, and whether that's a multi-year or one-year situation. I think it's just kind of like reaching out, and I think really that's all we've done so far is like reach out, starting the process of talking to teams from a trade standpoint, just kind of figuring out what teams are interested in doing, what they're trying to accomplish this offseason. And then like very 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 surface level conversation with agents, trying to get a sense of kind of time frame and timeline. But that's really what the next couple of weeks are for. And it really doesn't start until the GM meetings. So ultimately we'll keep talking and get a little bit more active with our conversations between now and I think that's November 4th. Yeah, I think the next couple of weeks we'll be prepared to get more detail on those spots. I think the good news, a lot of those guys have indicated that they really enjoy being here. They enjoy playing here in front of our fan base. They love the organization. They love their teammates. I think everybody kind of feels like I had I don't know 5 or 6 different conversations where to a person they were saying, hey, this is the best team I've played on. And some guys that have played on 100-win teams, playoff teams, and they were like, this is the best team, and this is from an organization standpoint, the best feeling they've had, just being, honestly, like to get, being together and enjoying it, enjoying baseball. So, where does that leave us? What does that mean? Again, hopefully, players, they talk and, they're interested in coming back and being a part of it. And we'll tackle all that here in the next couple of weeks and months.
So kind of a strategy in making Petco Park and the Padres just a really hospitable place where guys want to be. Doesn't mean that you get a huge discount on players, but you want to at least be at the point where if a guy's getting an equal offer from the Padres and the Dodgers and the Yankees, that the Padres are going to be a team that players actually want to come play for.
Yeah, which is important.
And AJ thinks that they have positioned themselves well in that aspect of a competitive marketplace.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that based on everything that we've heard and saw and how much this team enjoyed being around each other. Again, it translated to a lot of wins in the regular season. But the postseason is where, he wants to probably focus on how to improve, how to get over that hump. And, honestly, like the hardest part about this entire season is looking at the roster in the postseason and just going, we had it. We had it. You did it. You did it. You did your job very, very well. I give them A+ for this season. And when it came down to it, 24 straight innings without a run is going to bury you. So how do you get over a 24-inning hump from a 162 game season? That's going to be the $1 billion question. And it does sound like, again, just kind of reading between the lines a little bit with some of the things that he said, it sounds like they're going to be able to make moves. He praised Michael King as somebody that the scouts really, really like and somebody that's taken a huge step forward and mentioned, I've reached out to people's agents and talked about what their goals are and what they want. Again, very, very preliminary conversations right now, but I would expect some of these guys to be back, ready to do this thing again. And it's going to be interesting to see the other pieces and what he has to work with.
Need a contestant for Take on Woods if you want to join us here. We've got more tickets for Social Distortion, a sold-out show coming to the Observatory North Park, but you got to play Woods if you want to win them now. 833-288-0973. Play our musical trivia game here momentarily. 833-288-0973. Wide open phone, so if you've never played before, want to get in, this is your chance. I will say that, like we predicted yesterday, there was zero confirmation, even indication of what the Padres might do payroll-wise in 2025. Whether they're willing to go over the luxury tax, stay where they are, cutting salary. I mean, everything seemed to be on the table according to AJ. The only thing that he promised is that, hey, look at our track record. We are trying to win baseball games. Doesn't mean that we have no, rules or we have no limits on what we can do. Every team does. Even the Yankees and the Dodgers at some point have a limit to what they can do. But the ultimate goal, he said, will still be we're trying to win and make moves that help us win. And if there's a move out there that the Padres think will put them over the top or get them closer to the top, they certainly will not just dismiss it out of hand because, that's going to cost $5 more million than we thought, we were going to have in our budget. So they will continue to operate as a team that has a bigger priority on wins and losses than the bottom line, at least at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think they have done that over the last few years. Even when they reduced payroll this last season, Woods, there was a big competitive element to it in terms of, resetting your draft penalties, getting under the luxury tax can help you competitively going forward. Not simply about maximizing the bottom line. And it hasn't been for several years at Petco Park. If they wanted to, they could make a lot more money by cutting payroll way down.
Oh, yeah.
And no one would say anything because other teams, tons of other teams do it and operate at a payroll half of what the Padres are operating under.
Yeah,
and the Padres could do that too, and they're not doing that.
I don't think it's fair to panic right now, and I don't think it's fair to judge right now because really nothing's happened, and we don't know. You judge it on opening day, you judge it at the trade deadline, and then you judge it at the end of the year. There's really no reason on October, where are we at? October 22nd to worry about a payroll issue that doesn't exist yet, to worry about where we're going to be, competitive balance taxes and things like that. We just don't know. Opening day comes and you've traded Michael King and Dylan Cease, and you're running out a roster of Johnny Brito's your number 2, and Vasquez is your 3, and Waldron's your 4. Yeah, then maybe you say, all right, well, what the hell happened? But today, right now, no reason to panic yet. There's always time to panic if you're a Padres fan. Oh, there's plenty of time. There's no need to. This is the holidays coming up. You should enjoy yourself. But there's no reason to panic right now.
All right. Right now, we're going to play a little Take on Wood. Let's get to it. All right, looks like Jared's going to be up today. Take on Woods is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. Jared, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, you're our contestant today. I think you know how it works. 5 questions, head-to-head against Woods. You beat or tie him, you will win a pair of tickets to see Social Distortion at a sold-out show on Friday, December 20th at the Observatory North Park. All right, you still there?
I'm still here.
He's all right. He's good. All right, here are your choices for categories today. So on the chessboard, chess pieces and chess-related musical songs and numbers. Hand over fist, 5 musical questions about things you'll find on your hand. And blank like blank. Those are 5 song titles with phrases connected by the word like. So, on the chessboard, hand over fist, or blank like blank. Jared, what would you like to play?
Let's do hand over fist.
All right. Today we've got 5 musical questions and answers about things you'll find on your hand. 60 seconds to answer as many as you can. If you don't know an answer, say pass. We'll come back to it. First question's the 2-second song. Paulie, queuing it up now. You need to identify the song title and the artist, and remember you're thinking of hands in some of these answers. So you ready to play, Jared?
I am.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Paulie, you good to go? All right, Paulie's good.
I'm ready.
Jared, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Category hand over fist. Good luck. Let's take on Woods.
Skip.
The chorus of which Rolling Stones classic has Mick Jagger singing, "Down to Me, the change has come, she's what?"
Under My Thumb.
Correct. Trent Reznor was the only official member of which Cleveland band until adding longtime collaborator Atticus Ross in 2016?
Skip.
Which Welsh rock band is best known for early 1970s hits including Day After Day and Baby Blue?
Pass that one, too.
Which 2008 hit by Beyonce is subtitled Put a Ring on It?
Put your hands up.
Incorrect. Go back to our 2-second song.
I'll Be Wrapped Around Your Finger by The Police.
Correct. Trent Reznor was the only official member of which Cleveland band until adding
Nine
longtime.
Inch Nails.
Correct. Which Welsh rock band is best known for early 1970s? All right, good rally there. You got 3 of the 5, 2 at the last minute. Wrapped Around Your Finger by The Police, Under My Thumb, Rolling Stones, 9 Inch Nails. Badfinger is the Welsh rock band with Day After Day. And Single Ladies is the title of the Put a Ring on It song. Ring, finger, nails, thumb. You get the
I see what
idea.
you're doing there.
Yeah.
I got you.
All right. Jared's score is locked in. Woods may have trouble figuring out this category. We'll see. 60 seconds back on the clock. Woods, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Jared.
That is Wrapped Around My Finger by the Police.
Your Finger by the Police. The chorus of which Rolling Stones classic has Mick Jagger singing, Down to Me, the change has come.
Under My Thumb.
Correct. Trent Reznor was the only official member of which Cleveland band until adding longtime collaborator Atticus Ross in 2016.
Nine Inch Nails.
Correct. Which Welsh rock band is best known for early 1970s hits including Day After Day and Baby Blue?
Pass.
Which 2008 hit by Beyonce is subtitled Put a Ring on It?
If you like it?
Incorrect. Which Welsh rock band is best known for early 1970s hits, including Day After Day and Baby Blue?
Stiff Little Fingers.
No, but Finger, it was Bad Finger.
Goldfinger.
Bad Finger.
Damn it.
You know what, Jared, whether it's a 3-2 win or a 3-3 tie, if I'm strictly not giving Woods Wrapped Around Your Finger.
What did I say?
Either way, Jared, congratulations. You have won the tickets to Social Distortion at the Observatory. Things on your hands, Wrapped Around Your Finger, Under My Thumb, 9 Inch Nails, Bad Finger, and Single Ladies.
Damn it.
Put a ring on it.
Should have known that one.
Bad Finger.
So I lost?
Yeah.
Or tied?
Either way.
Jeopardy would have given that to me.
I don't know.
Yes, they would
That's a
have.
tough one. You said my finger. That's incorrect. It's Wrapped Around Your Finger.
They would have given it to me.
I'll be wrapped.
I love that
I
song.
mean, it kind of changes.
Yeah.
At the end, it's you'll be wrapped around my finger.
Yeah.
But the song is Wrapped Around Your Finger.
They would
by
have
the
given that to me.
Police.
Alex Trebek would have given that
Either
to me.
way,
back
on
in
this
the day.
show, the listeners getting the tickets.
Yes, Jared's winning the tickets.
He can
Jared,
have them.
stay on the line. Paulie will get your information and set you up with the Social Distortion tickets. Congratulations on Hand Over Fist is our category today.
I like that.
All right, we'll come back with Don't Do This and how not knowing the rules, and I'll admit I didn't know them either,
But you're not
may have cost
You're not a coach.
the Tampa Bay Bucks a major injury last night.
That's tough, dude.
On Monday Night Football.
Very tough.
We'll get to that and more coming up next with Ben Woods after traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else. Hamul Casino. Fun.
All right, time for a little DDT, and you hate to see it. Gruesome injury last night on Monday Night Football. Bucks hosting the Ravens. Ravens were up like 41-16, I think, or it was 17. I mean, late, and the Bucks scored a couple of touchdowns to get within 10, but there was only a minute left in the game, and they had actually just said on the broadcast, yeah, don't you just want to get through this game healthy as the Bucks continue to like throw the ball? And they just said, I don't know, do you want to just get through this game and make sure everyone gets through it healthy? And all of a sudden, over the middle, Chris Godwin, star wide receiver, goes down, and I saw it live. They would not show a replay. It was one of those where they said, we're not going to show you the replay, but his ankle just went in the wrong direction. They're calling it at this point a dislocated left ankle, but got to imagine there's some damage inside. Here now, don't do this. I mean, you can never fault a coach for continuing to play and try
to play hard, right?
But I saw this posted, and I would need it to get it verified by the NFL. But with the new kickoff rules, remember, you have to declare if you're going to go an onside kick. And they had already done it a couple of times, recovered one even in their futile attempt at a comeback. But apparently in the new rules, you have a maximum of 2 onside kicks you're allowed to try in the game. And they had already tried them. So even if they had gone down and scored a touchdown, they were still out of timeouts. We're going to have to kick it away to the Ravens, who were just going to take a knee.
Run the
so
clock
you had no chance to win that game, barring like fumbling a kneel down by the Ravens at that point. And you're desperately trying for whatever, points, cover, backdoor, and you lose one of your star players, possibly for a long time on an injury like that. Is that a don't do this for maybe not knowing the rules entirely? You could have just ran the ball up the middle or even taken a knee yourself and gotten to the finish line with no more injuries.
Yeah, man, that's a tough one. It's the old coach thing, though. We're going to fight to the last minute. You know, we got to get our best players in there. And if you're telling me there's a chance, then I wouldn't be doing my job.
But there wasn't a chance.
I mean, like you said, if they fumble the snap, right? So
what do you think about when TV won't show a replay?
I love
on
it.
something?
I can't stand.
You don't want to see
it.
them?
I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
I do not like seeing it. I don't like watching people's leg explode. I don't like to see it.
You don't think that's
I have
part
a
of
weak ass stomach.
Watch their knee explode.
Yeah, I mean, watch their leg go 90 degrees.
It was very hard to see in real time. Obviously, it's going quickly.
Fine by me.
Do you need one replay just so people know what happened and what's up, and maybe with a warning like, "Hey, you may want to look away, but we're just going to show you the one replay to show you what happened." I'm okay with one replay. You don't want to. Don't show it over and over and over again.
I don't want any.
You don't want any.
I see your point, but you can just go on Instagram, X,
Well, you have to,
like wherever it'll be
know.
there.
They didn't. No, they never showed a close up. There was really no.
Somebody will get it and put it on Twitter.
I mean, if
every
it's
time.
not on the broadcast, where are you going to get it? They never showed it. All you could see was the far angle. From
Somebody's got the all 22 pass. Or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
and
100%.
Maybe.
I never want to see it. I never.
I bet it's out there. I don't even want to look for it right now, though,
either.
just to prove a point.
I have to actively avoid injuries sometimes when they happen. But all right, Paulie, you go next.
Yeah, it's been a rough start to Jameson Williams' career, wide receiver for the Detroit Lions. He was suspended yesterday for 2 games for violating the NFL's PED policy. And I was reading along here, and the reason I say it's been a rough start to his career is he was a first-round draft pick from Alabama in 2022, number 12 pick in the draft. He missed 11 games of his rookie season after he tore or had an ACL injury that he suffered in college, and they still drafted him. Missed 11 games. The next year, he was suspended 4 games for violating the gambling policy of the NFL.
Oh, that's right.
And then now this year, suspended for PED use.
What's next?
Kind of got the suspension straight flush going.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just one more. Just one arrest for speeding or something. Like,
what happened to it? Used to be a 4-game suspension for PEDs. Did they just quietly go, you know what, 2's
we
fine.
don't care.
We don't care that much.
Dan Campbell did a weekly radio show out in Detroit, and he said he couldn't elaborate on it.
Right.
It was still being discussed with the NFL. And he said, all I can tell you is we're prepared to not have him, and we'll be fine.
If the suspension is just 2 games, are the benefits of using PEDs extend
correct.
long after your 2 games are over.
Well,
right?
and think about maybe it's random testing, I believe. So imagine that you got through the first 6.
Yeah.
You get hey, I just played 6 games.
yeah,
That's 1/8 of the season. So in baseball, that would be like a 20-game suspension for PEDs. You don't think if someone thought, hey, I can hit 45 home runs if I do this, it's worth 20 games?
20 games.
Just go ahead and do my cycle throughout the offseason, get popped once, do my 20, and then come back and have a huge year? I don't know. It seems a little troubling.
Bro, today, and Jameson Williams, right. Okay, so give me a comp for Jameson Williams in the game of baseball. So he's been in the league a couple of years, okay? Adley Rushman today gets popped for PEDs. It's national story, Ken Rosenthal, the whole thing. It's a huge deal. This guy, they're like, oh, all right.
2 games.
See you in 2 weeks. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Rest up. We'll see you back at
just,
training or practice in 2 weeks.
Congressional hearings about PEDs in baseball, man. It's just crazy. I got a do this.
DD mega doo-doo.
Well, it's Do this unless you live in the city of Los Angeles. What an absolute nightmare it's going to be. I guess my do this is for all of us
not living in LA.
San Diegans that get to live here.
Right.
Did you hear? And listen, I think there's a couple ways to spin it. There's some good stuff going on Friday night in Los Angeles. But you know what that means. It means that LA is going to turn into an even bigger traffic cesspool.
Well, I know
wasteland.
one thing that's happening on Friday.
One of the biggest thing that's happening Friday is Game 1 of the World Series. Okay, so that's going to happen. Then
I was in a lot of that traffic going up to the Division Series not long ago. It's pretty bad.
Less than 2 hours later, the LA Lakers will face off against the Phoenix Suns at the Crypto.com Arena at 7 for their second home game of the season.
All right, it's only about 4 or 5 miles from Dodger Stadium. It's on the other side of downtown.
Yep.
Dodger Stadium's kind of the northeast side of downtown. Crypto's kind of on the southwest side of downtown.
So it doesn't stop there. The East LA Classic will kick off at 7:30 p.m. The same time, that's at SoFi.
Is that high school football?
I think so. It's like modern day and the other good one. This is the same time
Long Beach Poly. I don't know.
David Gilmour from Pink Floyd is set to take the stage at the Intuit Dome for a concert.
Oh, that's the new Clippers arena.
So then,
Inglewood.
half an hour after that, college football fans will descend onto the Coliseum as the USC Trojans host the Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
Wait, so there's a USC home game.
Yes.
A World Series game.
Yes.
A Lakers game.
A David Gilmour concert.
A major high school event at SoFi and a giant concert.
And actually,
all within like a 10-mile radius.
Actually, Jeff Lynne from ELO, they're taking the stage at the Kia Forum. Okay.
Okay, which
so
is right
that's
next, which is next door to the Intuit Dome and SoFi Stadium. Wow,
dude, it's going to be Carmageddon. And the game, so the Dodger game starts at 5, which means if you need to leave your job at noon, go home, quick shower, and then you start head down to Dodger Stadium and hang out. But if you're going to anything else, I mean, it's 7, it's 7:30, it's 8. You're toast. I'm so happy we live here. I know I complain that like bands skip here, we don't have an NBA team and everything else, but I am happy to live here. We don't have to. Our traffic's bad enough. Imagine that on a Friday in LA,
which is already the worst day for
it's
traffic.
Always the worst. It's just the
Yikes.
worst. Terrible.
I'm glad we're here.
Me too.
That's
Do this.
Don't and do this for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we've gotten them into it, folks. Basketball Woods will make an appearance when we come back. A quick look ahead to the NBA season that does begin tonight and why, even though we don't have a team, there are some intriguing storylines. Intriguing enough even for our basketball skeptic over here, Stephen Woods.
I think you're going to like this.
Coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I think there's definitely always the question, how much can you get into a sport that is not played in your city? Yeah. You know, we can always watch any game on television. We watch football, we'll watch basketball, but can you truly have that same passion when you don't have a team playing in your town? Even if you're not a fan of that team, your team will eventually come to town, you can go watch them play, because otherwise you're going to have to, in basketball, you're going to have to make a trip up to Carmageddon if you ever want to watch your team play, whether it's, the Lakers, the Clippers, or, the Timberwolves coming to town at some point. You can't do it here in San Diego. And I think that is an obstacle to really true fandom of any sport.
Yeah, the rooting interest really is what kind of puts me off of the whole thing. I'm not going to root for the Lakers. I'm from Dallas, but it was fine when I was there. I grew up going to watch, Mark Aguirre and Ron Harper and guys like that, and I just kind of lost the plot. But then I moved to Chicago, and you couldn't avoid basketball. You could not avoid it.
Yeah, what years were you there?
The prime years, the absolute, 99 through 2003.
Those were not the prime years.
Well, no, when did I get there? Well, I was in South Bend. I moved to South Bend in 97.
Okay.
96. Yeah.
So nearing the end of the run, the Jordan run, right?
Yeah,
but
what were they? 93,
was it
94,
92, 93, 94, and then he was off for a couple of years.
And then back.
Yeah.
So when he came back is when I moved there. You couldn't avoid it. It was just everywhere. And all my friends were from Chicago, and they're all Bulls fans. So I watched and loved it and went to finals games.
2000s, you would have been there just in time for his Wizards era.
The Wizards era, yeah. But, yeah, that was a tough one when he left. But, when I moved from there was probably 2002, somewhere around there, maybe 2001. But, yeah, so I was there late 90s. It was, as you can tell, it was a blurry period for me. All the years run together. But you couldn't avoid basketball when you were there. You just couldn't. I mean, he was the toast of the town, period, the end. And Rodman and Pippen, and we used to see those guys out all the time. You used to come to the bar that I worked at, it was just, you were just enveloped in Bulls basketball.
Well, I appreciate that there was a passion at some point.
Massive. I loved it. It was so fun.
And at least an appreciation that still exists.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot to be appreciated in basketball right now, because when you look at the sport, it's ridiculous how many great players there are, how many really great teams. It's not like 2 or 3 superstar teams.
There's a lot of parity.
17 superstar teams at this point.
And we all grew up, Benny and I, we grew up in the era of the dynasty, certainly with the Lakers, the Celtics, and then the Bulls, of course, and then
when you go to the 90s,
the Warriors.
It was on any given year, and most years on the Eastern Conference, it was the Bulls. Yep. But on any given year, there was just 1, maybe 2 star-studded dominant teams on each side.
The Blazers,
the Jazz,
the Jazz, yeah.
That was the Pistons.
It was the same 6 teams beating the crap out of each other every single year.
And now every team, you can't even contend unless you have 2 all-stars.
2 superstars, yeah.
And while there's certainly always going to be problems in big money professional sports, when you look at the NBA, and compare it to football or baseball, I think you see a sport that truly has the players with the biggest say of any of the sports. It's not about the owners. It's not about the coaches necessarily or the GMs. It really is a league that is about the players and more for the players. Now, the owners are still making their money, but even the commissioner feels like Adam Silver. If you're going to say who's the best commissioner, usually he's the one who's going to get the nod. Like, okay, at least it feels like they care a little bit more, so you can sort of feel good about being a basketball fan. So there are a lot of reasons to be, I think, interested in the season. Woodsy's going to help us, though. It's
not as dirty as like the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. The NFL.
Nobody in the world has ever been like, God, I just love.
Yeah,
Roger
the NFL
Goodell.
is popularity, the king. It's still no, that's not going to change. But there's definitely an aspect of evil empire-ness to football that I don't feel the same way about basketball.
And there's that in baseball as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at least a lot of the teams, the owners who are not looking out for their fans
or their players.
I
mean, just it's insane. And in baseball, we let what 15, 16 guys off the hook every single season, at least as far as owners go. At least 15, 16 owners. Just like,
half the league.
Sorry about it. Half the league, man, is non-competitive. And trying to cut corners in every way they can, ultimately screwing the fans and the players.
And I think part of it is the salary cap structure that it kind of combines the competitive balance of the NFL, but superstar players still get paid. The contracts in the NBA are pretty good. I mean, yes, LeBron could be making way more than 50 to 60 million a year. If it was truly like a free agent market, he might be making 200 million a year.
Correct.
So they are artificially deflating a little bit, but it's also lifting up, I think, a lot of the other players who are getting big
Bro, you can be the eighth guy on the bench and you're making $80 million.
Really solid money. So anyway, Woodsy's going to help us out. We got our Basketball Woods NBA preview, and we'll get into that right after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the Mini Donut Company. Several problems here, guys. One of them is this crash on southbound 15 just past Arrow Drive. It's in the center divide. Crash clearing on northbound side of the 805 before Mesa College. Tow truck is on scene, clearing that into the center divide. Now our Cordell and Cordell traffic cam shows a collision in the North County along the 76 at River Road. Looks like lanes are blocked there. Everyone loves when someone brings donuts to the office, but we're all too chicken to take a full one, so they end up cut into pieces. The Mini Donut Company offers bite-sized, guilt-free mini donuts that are perfect for work, parties, weddings, and more. Visit getminidonuts.com and be the office hero, now open at UTC Mall. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Gets me every single time. I actually had a lot of fun with this yesterday, and without really knowing where to start, I just went in and read some season previews. And by the way, those are very long. Very, very, very.
People who write about the NBA
oh my
love
God.
writing about the NBA.
I mean, do they get paid by the word? Because, bro,
here's my 52-part preview of the season.
It's like, bro, you're highlighting, there's really 8-9 guys that you need to talk about. That's it.
Well, start reading now, and by unofficial opening day on Christmas morning, you'll be ready to go.
You'll pretty much have your previews finished.
There's and I think the overarching theme that I was able to glean from all of it was load managing in the NBA, managing to keep your superstars on the court while figuring out how to also give them rest, have them ready for the playoffs, have them winning games, and being competitive. Now, it helps in the NBA that almost everyone makes the playoffs. It feels like you can have a pretty mid-season and make
maybe too many. With the play-in tournament now, it's 20 of the 30 teams that actually technically play in some sort of postseason game, even if it's just one.
Yeah, and so I was
the other side of the coin is the playoffs are 3.5 months long.
That's exactly right.
Which makes me at least understand why, as much as I don't like it,
you have to do it.
I understand the load management with all your superstars.
Well, and there's a couple of teams that jumped off the page. Obviously, it usually happens when a team wins a championship, and then they continue to bring back really good players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday. These guys, they can win another chip in Boston. But as Ben pointed out in our text thread yesterday, we're just not seeing it right now. We're not seeing the ability to win back-to-back. So
Golden State had their dynasty.
that's it.
But it ended.
It ended.
And now
and by the way, it's over. Like Golden State, it's well over. Reading about them yesterday, I actually felt a little bad, like for Steph Curry. Now he's got his, but it's a two-man show.
Clay's gone now. I mean, it's definitely a different world.
So what did you want to ask me? Like, what am I excited about? The teams that I was reading about, like the Oklahoma City Thunder. I was reading about them yesterday. I went, holy smokes! Like, that's a team that could take the next step, certainly. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, runner-up in the MVP for the MVP last year. Chet Holmgren with another year under his belt. Jalen Williams, they added Alex Caruso. They've got a really solid team in Oklahoma City.
As much as it pains me as a lifelong Seattle Sonics fan, I do not like that franchise. They are the second highest favorite to win it all at plus 500 right now.
A lot of people
Boston.
Very high on the Knicks as well. The Knicks seem to be that team too.
Third favorite betting.
That.
But they pulled off the blockbuster to get Karl Anthony
Towns. Yeah, so
to go with Jalen Brunson. But they play in the same conference division as the Celtics, which is going to be tough. The question I asked was, so the last 6 years we actually had 6 different NBA champions: Raptors, Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Nuggets, and Celtics. So if you had to pick, is the champion coming out of that group or the rest of basketball?
I'm taking the field.
I think the field is the answer.
I'm taking the field.
Yeah, Boston and Denver and Milwaukee probably all have legit shots, but there are so many good teams that I think the odds are that we'll have a 7th different champion in 7 years. If it's not Denver or Boston, and there's a lot of other good teams, I think this is a great sport for knowing my team probably has a chance going into the season.
Yeah, and so it brings me to my sleeper pick for champion. It's the Dallas Mavericks.
They did make the finals last year.
I know, but a sleeper still.
No one talks about them.
They really don't. And they added Klay Thompson, who, again, rejuvenated, right? New look, fresh city, the whole thing. They needed somebody that could shoot from the perimeter. They needed somebody that could drain threes. Klay Thompson is that guy, has been that guy in his career. Also wants to get back to playing the elite defense that he's capable of,
got a lot to prove.
Which they needed last year badly. Now, Luka Doncic.
Doesn't it feel like he's been around for a long time?
It
does.
He's
25.
There's no way. He's 30. He's 37 years old.
25 years old.
No,
Luka.
Oh, Luka, yeah.
He's 25 years old. It feels like he's been in the league for a decade.
I thought you were talking about Clay.
Me too. I was like,
no chance he's 25.
No, Luka is 25.
He looks 38. That said, he's still one of the most elite
He's been
players.
playing pro ball since he was like 13.
That's true. They're my sleeper pick to win it all, the Dallas Mavericks. So, but there's another team that's really interesting to me. The one that jumped off the page. And they got worked last year because everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And that is the Memphis Grizzlies. John Morant's game is nasty. It's nasty. He's a highlight reel player when he's healthy. He wasn't healthy last year. He also had some ridiculous legal troubles. Seemingly, that's all behind him. And they added who is my pick for the Rookie of the Year, Zach Edey. So I like them as a team that you don't want to face if they're firing on all cylinders. So those are a couple of my sleepers, my dark horses.
I think one team that you have to pay attention to, they had such a bad season last year for expectations, are the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes.
Giannis and Dame were supposed to be this unstoppable force, and then Giannis was hurt a lot. Dame never really adjusted after moving from Portland. But if they could ever click together at the same time, man, that would be a devastating combination.
Lillard got traded mid-season, right?
Yep.
He got early season, wasn't it? He was on there for a while.
Mid-season.
I mean, he had a chance and never really was the Dame that we saw in Portland. So I think that's an interesting story. I think watching the San Antonio Spurs are not going to be good, but they could threaten for a back-end play-in playoff spot type, and the development of Victor Wembanyama is also fascinating. Number 1 pick, unanimous Rookie of the Year last year.
You know what their percentage to make the playoffs is right now? 1.
That's it. The Western Conference is ridiculous.
1. They added Chris Paul. They added Harrison Barnes. They didn't really do much to add to what, to help get a lot of help for Wemby.
A lot of people say, favorite for defensive player of the year. And
some MVP votes
I
as
mean,
well.
you follow guys, Jordan, LeBron, they weren't the best player in the league their first year. It takes 3 or 4 years. But Wemby's on the track where he may be from 2026 to 2038 the best player in basketball for a long, long time.
Yeah, some of the teams that are probably a little overrated right now, I think the LA Clippers, they got them at a 51.5% chance
they may
to make
miss
the playoffs. They may miss the playoffs, in my opinion, with Kawhi being hurt again. They got James Harden, as you mentioned. I'm trying to think. Oh, Dark Horse MVP is another one. Obviously, the usual suspects are out there. Luka is the betting favorite right now.
Jokic
has won 3. He's going for 4. There are very few who have, in NBA history, who have gotten to that level.
Anthony Edwards is my sleeper at plus 1,200 to win the MVP. A dynamic player. Paulie, you guys turned me on to him last year. Read a lot about him yesterday.
Very exciting.
Pretty nasty player.
And honestly, for my Lakers and Tony Gwynn Jr.'s Lakers, more can go wrong than can go right at this point. You need to acknowledge what LeBron is doing, as he hits 40 years old coming up here is insane. He played in 71 games last year.
Yeah.
Only sat out back-to-back games once the entire season, then went and won the MVP of the Olympic tournament.
Yep.
It's unheard of. And he's going to be playing with his son. That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
All right. Nice job, Woods.
Thank you very much.
Basketball preview.
Woods
Reset
here.
when we come back.
Oh, man, I can feel the reviews are in for Basketball Woods, and they're great. They're actually really, really good, so thank you, guys. I did do a lot of reading on this yesterday and made some notes and, my job. Hey, congratulations on doing your job. Very well done.
So let me get this straight. In
Aren't you a
preparation for
sports
your
guy?
sports radio show,
Yeah.
the night before the NBA season, one of the major
Correct.
sports tips off.
Yes.
You
I did
read
reading,
about
yes,
the NBA.
and made some
So
notes.
for the first time in almost 7 years, in a non-baseball sport,
I did some
you
prep.
actually did some
Yes.
reading and prep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations,
Well done.
Woods.
Thank you,
Well
guys.
done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Woj Woods, somebody said. No, it's fun. And like I said, I liked reading about it probably more than I enjoyed watching it. I'll put the game on tonight. I'm interested to see the LeBron James thing. Now, I did, by the way, no big deal. Driving in this morning, listened to a JJ Redick podcast. And I am impressed with JJ Redick. Certainly knows the game
He's a
of
good
basketball.
podcast host. For a basketball coach, he's
really
a good
good.
podcast
Yeah,
host.
he was really good and insightful, and again, we talk a lot about guys that get it, right? He gets it. He knows how the game is played, and I don't mean just the game on the court.
Right.
I mean the media game. So the guys that had him on were like, "Hey, man, so just before we get started, we've been pretty critical at times." He's like, "Guys, that's part of the gig. No big deal, right?" And instead of being defensive and crying and whining and things like that, right? He just is like, "I get it. It's part of the gig." He did talk about the fact that Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. will be attending the Lakers game this evening. You did get the sense from him that he talked about Bronny and what he needs from Bronny, and he said, look, we're going to work on a shot. We're going to work on his ball handling, which always makes me laugh. What we need from Bronny James is we need 10 defensive stops. We need 10 pressures a game. That's really all we're asking from him. We don't need him to come in and be his dad because he's not going to be. We need him to get in the face of guys, in the half court and try to get a steal, try to put pressure on the offense. And he said, that's really what we're looking for him. He goes, yeah, and he's going to get some time here with the Lakers. He's also going to get some time in the G League. You do get the sense that tonight will be a bit of a publicity, I don't want to say stunt, but no, stunt's the right word. I do believe he will get in tonight to play with his father.
He will absolutely get in because J.J. Redick gets it, and he gets that.
Let's get it done.
He doesn't want to sit around answering questions for 7 games. Hey, is this the game that Bronny's going to get in? Is this the game that Bronny's going to get in?
You nailed it. That's it.
Just do it tonight, and then he can actually start his career after that. And I think
start him. Just start him and get it over with.
And I think at some point they'll realize that the best thing, even LeBron will realize, the best thing for Bronny's development will be time in the G League.
Yep.
Playing against, upping his competitive level and not being overwhelmed by the NBA. I saw that 20% of the money at sportsbooks on Rookie of the Year is on Bronny James.
There's no way.
At 250 to 1 to 1,000 to 1. That's just free money for the sports.
That's
books.
literally, you just gave them a new wing and a new pool. Right. Like it's
They'll take all the money in the world on Bronny James to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, let's go ahead and make our bets here. What will we do if Bronny James wins Rookie of the Year? I'll eat Ben's shoe. I will eat it in full. I will swallow it and eat it.
I'll eat yours. And
Okay.
we can have a nice segment of
shoe buffet.
consumption.
Yeah, so that's not going to happen. It's again free money. Like it's fun to bet on a long shot every now and then. Like I may put some money. I may put some money on Anthony Edwards to win the MVP this year. He's a plus 1,200. Yeah, you put $50 down. It could happen. That could absolutely happen. Bronny James winning Rookie of the Year is not going to happen. So I'm with you, Benny. Throw that dude in, get him his 4 minutes, and call him off, and everybody gets the moment tonight, and it's a cool thing. And make no mistake, I don't like the Lakers. I don't like L.A. That's a cool thing. It's a really, really cool thing. I would love to play a game with
So
both.
clearly,
I would love it.
the Griffies, and I found this out about Paul. So the day that they went back-to-back home runs for the Seattle Mariners,
which is nuts.
It was Friday night, September 14th, 1990.
The day that one Paul Reindl came kicking and screaming from his mother's womb into this world. That night,
Pretty wild.
Griffey
It was
and his
in
dad.
Seattle, born in Seattle.
It's
Mariners
nuts.
did it. Yeah, it was crazy.
I wonder what happened if anything cool happened on my birthday ever.
Now you can't hit back-to-back home runs in basketball. You can't really do anything necessarily back-to-back. Like,
Back-to-back threes.
Threes on
That'd be cool.
consecutive. I think the coolest thing you could do is one of them throws an alley-oop pass to the other.
Would be so elite.
I think that
Bronny to LeBron for an alley-oop.
that's the ultimate highlight if you're going to do a son and dad NBA highlight is probably Bronny throwing one up for his dad at some point. If that could happen, I will be satisfied with his debut.
Pretty cool. Paulie, that's a cool thing to happen on your birthday, but on my birthday, July 19th, 1975, President Stevens of Sierra Leone had 14 former government and military officials executed by firing squad for conspiring to overthrow him. So that's
interesting because on my date of birth, General Khalid Mosharraf led a coup d'etat against the government of Bangladesh and arrested Army Chief of Staff Zahor Rahman and named himself the new chief. Woods.
Yeah, it was quite a day. I wonder how much that moved the needle in the hospital for my mom. Also, New York Yankees catcher Thurman Munson had a first-inning single and RBI nullified because of pine tar on his bat. I never heard about that story. We know the George Brett story, but his single and RBI were taken away because it was over 18 inches.
Not a single thing happened in sports on my birthday, apparently.
Sport boy
got nothing. Got nothing. Oh, no, wait. Chris Everett became the first tennis player to achieve the #1 ranking as the WTA Tour rankings debut.
Oh, very cool.
So there you
Chris
go.
Everett. Chris Everett Lloyd.
She was just Chris Everett, at the time. Then she became Chris Everett Lloyd, then went back to being just Chris Everett again.
Now it just goes by Everett.
Or just Chris.
I made that up.
That's very cool, though, that the Griffey thing happened on your date of birth, Paulie.
Well, it's cool that they're going to be in the house tonight. Ken Griffey Jr. was talking about it and said, yeah, man, we're going to go to this game, which kind of leads me to believe that it's like, hey, yes, we would love to have you guys at the game because this is going to be history as well. I doubt very much Ken, hey, should we go? Well, I mean, yeah, it may happen. Let's just get tickets. We'll see what happens. Right. No, this is a planned...
Awkward television shots of the Griffies late in the fourth quarter. Kind of their hands going up like, hey, is he getting in the game at all? What are we doing?
Bronny's in a suit on the bench.
What are we doing here?
They leave in the third. They're like, I'm not...
I guess it's not...
traffic.
I guess it's not happening tonight.
It's the worst, dude. So, we were talking earlier, too, about... Now, as much as I'm reading and enjoying reading about basketball, I shan't be gambling on basketball. It is maybe the worst sport to gamble on in the history of sports.
It's really tough.
I stay away, especially the pros. But you just never know. You never know how much the guys are going to play. You just there's no guarantee. There's no guarantees in any sports betting, but NBA basketball is not for me.
Speaking of national days, today is National Nut Day. Happy Nut Day to you, Woods.
Happy Nut Day.
You're definitely the biggest nut fan, I think, in the show.
Interesting.
I like all kinds of nuts.
I was the picky kid who would not eat anything if it had any sort of nut in it at all when I was a child. My palate has expanded a little bit, and I will now
you eat
peanuts and almonds and cashews. I can't stand pecans or walnuts or hazelnuts. None of them. My boss came trying to hand me one of those Ferrero Rocher hazelnut chocolate
delicious.
things yesterday. I go, no, thank you.
There's not even nuts in it.
Yeah, there's hazelnut.
Oh, is there a nut in
Yeah,
it? Oh, is it hazelnut flavor?
I don't like hazelnut flavor even.
What kind of nut do you like?
Cashews, almonds, and peanuts.
That's it.
Those are my only real nuts that I enjoy.
Destroyed those macadamia Hawaii,
From Hawaii
chocolates.
Yeah. I'll eat them in a pinch.
I can do
not
pistachio.
My favorite,
it's not my favorite, but I can do
I like
pistachio.
pistachio. It's a lot of work, though.
Yeah, a lot of work.
A lot of work. There's not really too many nuts I don't like.
Yeah, I know. You're the biggest nut fan of the show.
I do like a nut when I can.
It's also Smart is Cool Day, which I have never experienced. Still waiting for that to actually be true at some point.
You missed your window.
Was there ever a window?
Well, the window happened after we graduated high school. Eventually,
like when the Big Bang Theory came out on
Pretty
television.
Much, yeah.
Like
those guys started. Well, I told you, like you were on the golf team.
Yeah.
When I was in high school,
There's never been a golf team as cool day for sure.
Well, no, you're wrong.
Really?
So when I was in
the
high
guys in the golf team were cool.
When I was in high school, like we would be like, all right, those golf nerds, right? You throw those guys in a locker. But by the time my brother was in high school, all the cool guys played golf. Golf's had a resurgence. Tiger Woods certainly helped with that, and it was cool to play golf after that. So you missed your window by about 10 years. You would have been one of the most popular kids in your school with your academic awards and your golfing.
Golf teaming. Yeah.
You would have slayed.
No, it was completely uncool when I was there.
I would have been sitting by myself. I would have just been the weird guy that smoked cigarettes outside the school, in his Metallica T-shirt. That was no longer cool.
Woods, that's really unhealthy for you.
Yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't be doing that.
That's exactly right. So you did miss your window by about 10 years.
Apparently.
Sorry about that.
Now it's smart as cool day.
Yeah, smart as cool.
I feel like I'm still smart for the most part.
Yeah, you say some dumb stuff.
Yeah, it's age, I think.
Are we doing the dumbest thing he's ever said?
Oh, speaking of dumb.
What?
Is that next?
Didn't see that on the rundown.
Oh, we didn't put it on. Yeah. I think Paulie made an executive decision. Let's do it. Because he just said, I think I'm pretty smart. 8:35.
Ben, do you not remember this?
Do you not remember what you texted us yesterday that you said this is brilliant? Your topic for today?
Yeah.
About real Padres fans?
Strap in.
Well, I mean, there's an argument to be made.
There's not. There is zero
There
argument.
is an argument to be made for it.
Like,
I wanted to avoid it because it was that bad. But if this guy's just a glutton for punishment.
I think he has a fetish on just getting beaten up online.
Yeah.
Because I know that people will give me a hard time over this suggestion. And I'm not even saying I'm in favor of it, but I think
making a case.
Logically you can make a case for it.
You can't.
It involves
You absolutely cannot.
It involves the Padres and it involves the Los Angeles Dodgers.
This made my head hurt.
And we will get to that coming up after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Oh.
right, here we go. Flag 17 on. That is behind no. All right, hit me.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
All right, here we go.
In your private life, you like somebody to put cigarette butts out on you.
I
and
realize you're
step-
going to roast me. So, yeah, in a certain way, there's some masochism going on here.
I feel like you're on your belly, nude, and
But-
somebody is walking on your back with high heels, and you're like, yeah, I'm in.
This is why smart is cool day is really a fallacy. Because being smart sometimes means you have to go against the flow and against the grain of what everyone else wants to think or believe. And I brought it up, and I was having this conversation actually with my son, and then I brought it up with you guys.
Did he call you a big dummy?
No,
too?
First he started to, but then as I explained it, he said, "Well, obviously you're right, Dad, but I can't do it. I just can't do it." So
smart kid. Smart
clearly,
cool.
there is a sentiment going on around San Diego, a very strong sentiment, one that I actually mostly share with everybody. That you don't want the Dodgers to win the World Series. Pretty obvious, right? You know, biggest rival. They just eliminated the Padres from the playoffs. Dodgers fans are all up in our faces. The last thing you want is for them to be happy. It's the one thing you have remaining to root for in this baseball season is for the Dodgers and their fan base to join you in your sadness and misery that it's over and your team was eliminated. I understand that. It's a very natural, emotional response to being a fan and having your team knocked out of the playoffs. Correct?
Yes.
No one disagrees with that. However, I would also like to just throw out the argument, and this is what I texted you guys yesterday.
Strap in.
Yeah, strap in.
That if truly the goal, and I think we all agree it is to see the Padres win a World Series sooner rather than later. Hopefully next season, if all goes well for the San Diego Padres, that you're actually better off if the Dodgers win the World Series than if they lose another one this year. And there's a number of factors and reasons for that.
Fire away.
Well, first of all, just winning back-to-back World Series is very hard to do. No one's done it this millennium. It's been a generation since we've had a repeat champion in the World Series. The 1998 through 2000 Yankees were the last team to win at least 2 in a row. They got 3 in a row and 4 out of 5 in that run. But since then, we've had a different World Series champion every year. So in some ways, having the Dodgers win the World Series kind of eliminates them for next year. It doesn't. But there's whatever the reason is, teams have had a real hard time repeating. It's hard to win the World Series to begin with, but I think there are some factors behind that. The first is simply the emotional letdown you get after winning a championship. You don't have that same drive to get over the hump and get it done. Once you've won one of the hardest, every athlete will tell you one of the hardest things in sports is repeating as a champion after you've won one already. Isn't it human nature to lose just a little bit of that drive and get a little complacent once you've gotten to the top of the mountain?
You know what's harder than, not harder, but you can't go back to back till you win one. So the fact that you would even want them to win one.
I don't want them to win one. I'm just saying
like you
that
want
if you
them
want
to win one.
If you want the Padres to have the best chance going forward.
It's not the best chance.
It also usually has, in terms of players and bringing them back, the better they do, the harder it is to keep winning teams together, re-signing players. The better Teoscar Hernandez does in a free agency walk year, the harder it is for them to either re-sign him or bring back. If they bring back him, then that's an opportunity cost of another player that they may not be able to sign in the offseason. You can't go after everybody. Just getting to the World Series gives you a shorter offseason to prepare for the next season. Usually, makes you a little more weary going into the next season. There are a lot of real life factors that make it very hard to repeat.
There's a lot of real life factors that make it very hard to even win one, which has been the Dodgers' Achilles heel. The 60-game season notwithstanding, all the pennants, all the Western Division titles, they won the West 11 out of 12 years. Nothing to show for it. Nothing real. Nothing full season, sorry. And they get very mad. It's fine. Nothing full season, grind of 162 plus the playoffs.
No, I will acknowledge you can make the converse argument that another loss for the Dodgers just ramps the pressure up even more.
That's where I fall.
Yeah, I can certainly see that side of the argument.
That's where I fall, is watching them get to the World Series and soil their pants again. This is juicy.
I feel like watching the Dodgers, though, this playoff run, it's been different a little bit.
It feels a little inevitable.
It feels different.
It does feel different.
And I don't know what is the difference with this Dodgers team than the last 3 that were
Clayton Kershaw's not there.
Complete failures.
Yeah, Clayton. There's no Clayton Kershaw. I'm not being a jerk. You got nobody to chase a moment for. You don't. Clayton Kershaw buried that team last season in the postseason. Buried that team the postseason before.
Well, I think part of it is that whether real or fake, and I tend to think it's more fake, the Dodgers have bought into the fact that they weren't the big favorites they were the last 3 years. They may be the number 1 seed, but they didn't win 110 games.
Right.
They had a bunch of injuries, and they have rallied around that fact that they may not be underdogs, but they were not the overwhelming, crushing pressure favorites that they were going into the last 3 postseasons. Now, if they win the World Series this year and they Shohei Ohtani's pitching next year, everyone's going to expect 120. I mean, anything less than 115 to 120 wins and a sweep in the World Series is going to be like that. I mean, you have to do better than this, Dodgers. I mean, you're going to have better circumstances next year, probably healthier pitching. You're going to have more. You're going to have even more pressure next year to do it.
It's always going to
this year.
The pressure is always going to be on them, and the way that they've set their team up for the next decade has them looking pretty good. Great farm system, the whole thing. Yeah, they've done a great job, and they will have guys coming back getting healthy. I want them to lose every game, including in the World Series, but every game, right? I mean, that's how a rivalry works.
Well, I do too. I really do.
What you're saying, though, is some SEC cuckoldry of, well, it's not us. At least it better be Bama then. You know what I mean? Which I never have gotten.
I'm not cheering for the Dodgers. I'm simply laying out the logical argument that
the NL West?
Right. No.
If they lose again, their owners are going to go, we have to win one. We spent $1 billion this year. We're going to spend $2 billion this offseason.
Which is great.
Chasing the championship.
It's fantastic.
And eventually they're going to get, I mean, at the rate they spend with the players that they put on the field, aren't they eventually going to get one?
The answer to that question is yes.
Aren't they eventually going to get one?
Here's my fear.
Is it not better just get it out of the way?
Here's my fear, though.
I don't know.
So
I don't want them
the thing you really don't want is them to rip off 3 in the next 4 years or 4 in the next 5 years, and you can't do that until you win the first one. And like you said, if they lose to the Yankees this year, buddy, the pressure next year on, right? The pressure's always on them. They know that, and the way that they've spent, we're smarter. We spend more. We get our guys to defer 95% of their contracts. I mean, it's nauseating. It really is nauseating. There's no way I could ever look at it and say, yeah, and I know you're not making the argument of, oh, well, at least we got beat by the best, or it's good for the NL West, it makes us stronger.
Not making that argument.
No, it's the fact that they will be harder to repeat. I think if they win that first one, I don't think it's going to be hard for them to repeat at all. I really don't. I feel like that first one breaks the dam on about 4 in the next 5, which will put me in my grave by 60.
Whether they sweep the Yankees or get bodied in 4 games by the Yankees, the Dodgers will be in the top.
They'll be there next year. Yep, 100%.
To win the 2025 World Series.
Of course, in reality, I'm going to be cheering really hard against the Dodgers because I am an emotional creature just like the rest of you. And
they're only going to get better and healthier and spend more money regardless.
Win. Yeah. So what I'm really doing is just throwing in a pre-rationalization just in case they win as to why this could still be a good thing going forward for the Padres.
When we come back, I'll tell you how you should have done it. All right? Coming back, I'll tell you how you should have done this and pitched this to the audience. And I will also put a lit cigarette out on your arm.
I was trying to come up with some logic.
He requested this.
We also will, I teased it earlier. According to A.J. Preller, if you read between the lines, the player on whom the next season and maybe the next few years kind of relies on for the San Diego Padres going forward. We'll have that audio for you from AJ coming up with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
just for a second. Welcome back, Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. If you missed it, Ben said, what was your take? Rooting for the Dodgers is actually fun and cool.
No,
I think was your
that
take.
was not even close to the
You said
take. I was just saying that the Dodgers winning the World Series may actually open up the avenue for the Padres a little bit more in the future because no one has won back-to-back World Series titles in a quarter of a century.
Well, they also haven't won one in more than a quarter of a century in a long, regular, full season, right? More than a quarter of a century. 34
yeah,
years?
that's a separate thing. Cheering against the Dodgers to keep them from a world title, it's great. Yeah. I tend to agree with that.
Rooting for them is weird in any
I
capacity.
don't want to root for them. I'm just trying to make the argument that if you want to win the 2025 World Series and you're the Padres,
go get good players.
You're better off if the Dodgers win than if they lose.
No,
the World
you're
Series.
better off if they lose.
Because teams don't go back-to-back anymore.
Kyle says, this is the worst argument I've ever heard. Shohei will not be satisfied with one. Their rotation will be insanely stacked with pitchers who didn't even pitch this year. All Ben's points.
So were the
are
last
based on fallacies.
23 World Series champions, they were satisfied, but the Dodgers won't be. I don't think any team is satisfied with one. Just as really, really hard to win back-to-back titles. I mean, it's hard
to win one, as we know.
Well, it is hard to win one, but I mean, you look at all those
they know.
teams that have won one. Didn't you think that one of them would have probably gone back-to-back? A lot of really good teams over the last 24 years, and none of them were able to actually back up their title. Why is that?
It's weird, though, because I feel like with their resources, the Diamondbacks I called early in the season, but preseason, I said they're going to have a World Series hangover. And I think I said it about the Rangers as well. They're going to have a World Series hangover. They both kind of did. Diamondbacks were in it till the last
Rangers
day.
had a huge
Rangers
one.
had a huge one.
But the Dodgers won't?
I don't think they
All
will.
right.
I think they are hangover proof. Whatever that little tonic is you put in your water and you drink before you go
The Giants
to bed.
did the whole hangover season, then win another one, hangover season, then win another one.
But they don't have the resources or the core that the Dodgers have. I really feel like they're hangover proof. So I do feel like, I told Paulie this yesterday. I said, I feel like if they get one, it's going to turn the faucet on. You know, where they just want. That's
I mean, next year when they get healthier and Otani is pitching at a Cy Young level, Dustin May is back, Tyler Glasnow returns.
The Dodgers have resources, no doubt about it, and they will be good. But there is also players who are aging, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, that are going to be declining fairly soon.
No question. They're going to have to find that balance, but they have the resources to do it.
They do.
And they have the resources to pay, guys. They have the resources. And they're good about not really overpaying for guys.
And by the way, the Padres also have that same issue with players who are, the clock is ticking on some of their players, going forward.
No question.
It is one of the things that A.J. Preller talked about yesterday in his Zoom news conference. And
hold on, quickly. I was going to tell you, what you need to do is you need to establish your narrative. The narrative is if they win the World Series, congratulations, you were the overall favorite to win the World Series. Hey, you did what you were supposed to do. You did what everyone expected you to do, including Las Vegas. Great job.
Well, I think
you have 3 MVPs at the top of the order. You have lockdown bullpen. You're paying. You can afford to absorb. $30 million for an injured pitcher like Tyler Glasnow. You can absorb $13 million for a black hole like Chris Taylor. You can pay Max Muncy, who batted $14.5 million. You can acquire Tommy Edman while injured for $10 million, and he wins the NLCS MVP. You can do all those things, but you did what everybody picked you to do, right?
I think what hurts is that if they win it, you won't be able to argue that they're not a deserving champion.
Correct. Yeah, they've earned it.
They have earned it.
Yeah.
Getting to this point this year, they have 100%. Earned it the way they have played this year.
No doubt.
So that does sting a little bit. I do think that there is something real about not winning back-to-back titles.
Correct.
That doesn't make it any easier for the Padres.
But I feel like they're immune to that. I really do.
So no hangover. You don't think there's a hangover coming next year, regardless of what happens.
Like Alex says, if they want Juan Soto, he will be a Dodger. If they look at Juan Soto, he's 25 years old, and we want to put him out in left field. And, Teoscar was really good, but we'll let Teoscar walk. Maybe we caught lightning in a bottle. He's going to want a multi-year deal. He's already making $24 million. If we're going to pay $24 million for Teoscar, let's pay $35 million for Juan Soto. If they want him to be a Dodger, Ben, he will be in Dodger blue next year. Period. The end. They got money. They had the longest money in baseball. The longest money in baseball with all the money they're making off Shohei. And
it's going to be hard for the Yankees not to re-sign him at this point.
Yeah.
They don't. They may not have the resources of the Dodgers. They may not have the stomach that the Dodgers have in terms of spending money. But after taking them to the World Series, they also have a fan base that is going to be really mad if they let Juan Soto get away.
And we always talk about that, and maybe it's different in New York and L.A. But here in San Diego, you did maybe get the sense that if you were able to win that World Series with Juan Soto, that I think Padre fans would have understood, well, guy's going to want $600 million. We got our chip. We're good. I mean, you see that in franchises all the time. They win the World Series, and the White Sox are like, we're good. Angels won theirs years ago. You get your chip. I think even myself, after experiencing the parade and the booze, and we're having a great time, and we're doing extra shows, and we're on all the time having a ball, reveling in it. If they go, hey, we're actually going to need to, hey, Padres fans, we're actually going to need to trade some of these guys. I don't know how bad the uproar would be as opposed to New York and LA. Different. Don't you agree? Well, be honest with yourselves. We win the World Series with Soto in 23. And they're like, hey, we got to get rid of Soto. We're like, all right. Yeah. I'm still drunk from the World Series parade. You do whatever you want.
It still sucks, but you're like, at least we got one.
100%. Yeah, you're like, this sucks. But, man, this feels pretty good, as you wave your ring around. Feels really good.
Flags fly forever.
Flags fly forever. That's what they say. But I just don't think that's the case in New York and L.A. So that bidding war, and like I said, if they want to get him, they will get him. Imagine him.
I'd rather not.
I'd rather not.
They didn't have a team like the Washington Nationals that let their superstar get away.
Yes,
and then they won
the World Series.
Sometimes baseball makes no sense at all.
That could have been us this year. That could have been us, man. That narrative was shaping up pretty nicely. We decided to not hit for 24 innings, and we know how that goes.
All right, we'll hear more from A.J. Preller and the player who could be key to the Padres' 2025 success. And the one thing that I actually was surprised when A.J. Preller revealed it, all coming up after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the Mini Donut Company. Got a collision out of the South Bay now, northbound side of the 805, just past Bonita. Several vehicles got into it. It's over the right shoulder, but watch out for some glass reported in the roadway. Also, a crash clearing on northbound 5 right before the 15. Accident clearing stage on South 15, just past Arrow Drive. We've also got a collision in the North County on Via Rancho Parkway at Del Dios Highway, so watch out for a little confusion there. Everyone loves when someone brings donuts to the office, but we're all too chicken to take a full one, so they end up cut into pieces. That happens somewhere? Not at our studios. The Mini Donut Company offers bite-sized, guilt-free mini donuts that are perfect for work, parties, weddings, and more. Visit getminidonuts.com and be the office hero, now open at UTC Mall. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I think these donut liners are going to kill Kelly. She just keeps
laughing
laughing all the way down.
Donuts. I mean, I get it. I like a mini donut too.
I like any donut.
But they have been available at convenience store gas stations for a very long time.
Yeah, those rolls of the white powdered Hostess?
I love those.
So do I. But they're not, the size of a softball. They're really small. I just pop them in my mouth. Do you bite in? Do you just throw the whole thing in your mouth?
Whole thing, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, they're perfect one-biters.
Yeah, it's a big road trip food.
Actually, I think the Entenmann's version's better than the Hostess version.
I like the Hostess better.
What about, the crumb ones are also good.
I don't like crumbs.
No, you don't like crumbs?
I don't like the crumb donuts.
Really?
Yeah, they're creepy to me. There's like shards of stuff in there. No, I don't mess with it, dude. I don't mess with it. I don't mess with it.
You don't like the name? Like crumbs just sounds...
Yeah, I sound like crummy
dirty.
Donuts. I don't like...
Somehow.
I don't like a lot of stuff in my donuts. I'm pretty basic, as you know. I don't need sprinkles or anything.
It's mostly just sugar.
Yeah, it is.
Crumbs and sugar.
I don't like the crummy donuts. Sorry.
All right, though I told you yesterday I was not expecting any revelations from A.J. Preller. Really did not get any. There was one thing that did surprise me, And that was the news on Ha-Sung Kim's timetable for his recovery from his labrum surgery. I figured, yeah, he's probably going to need the offseason to recover, but for the most part was going to be wherever he signed next year would be available and ready to play early in the season. And AJ kind of indicated that not necessarily. It may be something that lingers into May, June, or even July in terms of the recovery for Ha-Sung Kim from the surgery, which puts him in a really awkward spot when it comes to his contract, whether he's going to opt in or out of his mutual option with the Padres, whether the Padres are interested in opting in or out. And then if they do, either says no, what does free agency look like for Ha-Sung Kim going to a team that may realize we may not have him for 2 to 3 months at the start of the season? How does that play out for Ha-Sung Kim?
The way that he spoke on multiple occasions yesterday about Ha-Sung Kim, because he was asked the question, I think A.J. Cassavell asked him the question of who's going to play shortstop next year. What do you have in your mind right now? And he kept mentioning Ha-Sung Kim. And in my mind, I had just assumed he was as good as gone. But then you start thinking, well, there's a $7 million mutual option, and he just had labrum surgery. So are you guys interested in staying one more year, or as it turns out, maybe a half year for $7 million? Okay, sure. And then Ha-Sung Kim comes back, call it the All-Star break. And you have a Gold Glove caliber shortstop back at the All-Star break. But then that means
a lot of pressure for him to perform those 3 seasons.
Well, for sure in those 3 months. But for the other reason is, so who plays short? Is it Xander? You're going to do this again? We're going to do this in 2025? Where Xander's like, I'm the shortstop until Kim comes back. Then I'm going to second. Cronenworth's going to move back to first. But we already got a guy that we signed to play first base. It does bring up a lot of moving parts and questions. So the way that, and Adam just made the point too, and we talked about it earlier in the week. You don't hire Scott Boras to just accept an option.
Right.
You don't pay him to do that, but maybe you pay him to negotiate something with a team if you are just going to decline the option and go to free agency. Maybe you want Scott Boras talking to the Giants saying, this is what is going to happen. He's going to be back in May. He's going to be ready to go. That's why you hire Scott Boras, not to pick up an option. You don't even need an agent.
Sure, but, the injury does change the circumstances for Ha-Sung Kim. And you don't necessarily want to be going into your, biggest free agency. I mean, he's not going to have a better chance to cash in than, what age is he right now, 29? I mean, this is his prime. So this is your one deal. If you want to sign a multi-year deal, this is going to be it. And you're going into it as damaged merchandise. Whereas if you came back for one more season and then hit free agency after a decent year, coming back healthy, even if it's like three months, you could maybe get a lot more next year. Now, a good agent's going to tell you, hey, if I think you can get more after one more season, then let's do that. Now, why would the Padres pick up a mutual option on quote-unquote damaged merchandise? Well, here's why. If they decline the option, they owe Ha-Sung Kim $2 million anyway.
Bucks, yeah.
So really, you're really talking about a $5 million decision.
Right.
For possibly, 4.5 months of what has been not just a good player, but a really well-liked player in your clubhouse, respected member of your team. For the most part, a couple of hiccups this season, but a Gold Glove defensive player, and when he's on offensively, someone who was even getting down ballot MVP votes a year ago for $5 million. I mean, that's kind of, to me, almost a no-brainer for the Padres. If he wants to come back, you pick that up and say, please, we'll pay you $5 million essentially to play as much as you can for us, and then you can go back into free agency at the end of 2025. Will Ha-Sung Kim do that? I don't know, but with that timeline, all of a sudden, I think it's much more a possibility than it would have been under any other circumstance.
The Boras thing is the only thing that throws a monkey wrench into all of it for me, and you don't hire him to do this, in my opinion.
But you hire him. I mean, he'll still be your agent in a year.
That's true.
Scott Boras will tell you, hopefully, what your best strategy is to make the most money, because that's how Scott Boras makes the most money. And if it's free agency after next year and not this year, Scott Boras will tell him that. So I don't know, back on the table. Meanwhile,
it did, but the way he talked about him, I mean, I got the sense like, oh, he's coming back.
that was my big surprise from yesterday.
And maybe that's maybe there's some sort of gamesmanship or something to that, and I haven't really figured out what it could be, but it did sound like Ha-Seong Kim would be back.
Meanwhile, I know Padres fans are going to feel gloomy about this, but A.J. Preller did get asked about Xander Bogaerts, and there's a lot of eggs in the Xander Bogaerts basket, and so far that basket has been pretty disappointing in a Padres uniform, for various reasons. But A.J. Preller really did acknowledge what is fairly obvious, that the Padres are going to need Xander Bogaerts to perform if they're going to want to try to reach the heights they're hoping to get to.
I mean, I think with Xander, it's obviously like getting playing through the injury, kind of like getting back in the second half of the season. Again, I think the expectation with Xander is, and he'll be the first to tell you, he knows that he's I think from his standpoint, he knows he's got a lot of really good baseball in there, and I think we saw it the second half of the 23 season. That's all. Again, like part of having a core group of guys. There may be a year or a period of time, or half a season where guys don't quite perform at the level that they're expecting themselves to perform to. But I think the good news for us is that Xander's coming back, and he's going to do everything he can this offseason, knowing him, his personality, his makeup, to come back and be an all-star caliber player. Again, he got us. There were some big hits there, some big home runs, some big at bats. And I think for us, like, to be the team that we need to be next year, it's going to involve Xander right in the middle of it, and looking up and having him have a Bogaerts type year. And that's a guy that's going to be among the league leaders in average, a guy that starts to fill up the doubles and home run side of things. He can play up the middle. We saw that at second base. He got better and better as the year went. The first half went, then he switched over to shortstop. We'll talk to him about that and where that looks. But yeah, if we're going to be a playoff team next year, my guess is we're having this conversation next year, and we look up and Xander has an all-star type season, and I feel very confident he's capable of doing that, and I feel very confident he's going to look at this year. Part of it was the injury, but I think he's going to look at this year and make some adjustments to make sure that he comes back next year and he's back as one of the top players in the game, and excited to see that for him.
Did that give you a little pause when AJ said, hey, if we want to be a playoff team next year, Xander basically has to be an all-star? Is that a little worrisome for you based on what we've seen from Xander Bogaerts so far?
Yeah,
it was for me. Now, I think there's some Padres fans who go, well, there's no chance Xander's ever going to be good again, and that's simply not true. I mean, Jurickson Profar had no chance of being an all-star going into this last season, and guess what? He was. If Jurickson can bounce back, certainly Xander Bogaerts, with far more of a track record, can bounce back and have an all-star season.
And I know it's only 2 seasons here, but you're talking about a 100-point decline in OPS. You're talking about it's on the decline right now, so he's got to get it back up.
I want to continue a little Xander talk and get into our Rindle Report coming up next year on the Fan. All right, no pressure, Xander, but the entire future of the San Diego Padres rests on you. And that's not my opinion. That's kind of what A.J. Preller said yesterday, in a nutshell, reading between A.J.'s lines, which are very, obtuse and blurry lines when he gives one of those news conferences. He specifically said, if Padres going to be a playoff team, then Xander Bogaerts is going to have to be an all-star type performer. Now, you can be an all-star without actually making the all-star game. You have a great second half. It's just as good as having a great first half. But it's going to be hard for the Padres to continue to be consistently good if Xander hits, 255 with 9 home runs.
Yeah, man.
And that's just a fact going forward. And it's certainly cause for concern because the first 2 seasons of Xander Bogaerts have not been what you were hoping for when you signed him to a giant deal. It's one of the I was looking at the highest paid athletes in all of professional sports, like NBA, NFL, baseball. 3 of the top 20 are San Diego Padres in terms of like largest contract deals of all time. And that's, you need all 3 of those guys to perform. Manny was Manny eventually this year after he got healthy. Tatis seems like he's going to be Tatis.
Yeah.
Can Bogaerts be even like somewhat close to the Xander Bogaerts he was in Boston? Because he hasn't been here yet.
No.
Maybe, as AJ said, second half of 2023, started getting going a little bit, played a little bit better. No one really noticed because the Padres were having such a bad season.
You've seen flashes of it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, there's flashes, and look, even
Problem is we saw flashes from like Eric Hosmer, too.
Right.
Like it doesn't mean anything until you can put it all together.
even the flashes aren't the flashiest of flashes, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not like when Tatis gets hot, or when Manny gets hot, or when pick your player, right? The flashes are not the ones that make you go whoa, like 19 homers his first year here with 19 homers his first year here. Most of them came in April and May, and then got hurt again. The injuries have killed him.
Well, that's
since
the
he's
thing.
been here.
If we
The
see,
wrist,
can
the
we
shoulder.
see a healthy Xander with
That's
no wrist and no shoulder? If so, can he be a 280, 20 to 25 home runs? Xander doesn't have to be the flashiest player. Really needs to be the consistent guy.
Yeah.
And that's what he hasn't been. The guy who's always delivering, 2 for 4 with a double and an RBI. 1 for 4 with a home run. Xander is the guy who can go on long hitting streaks when he gets locked in. He's not the most fearsome batter, but he will put good at-bats together. Goes the other way. I think he handles a lot of different types of pitchers pretty well. Doesn't have a lot of holes in his swing. He just hasn't shown any flair for the spectacular since he's been in San Diego.
Yeah, like I said, man, even the flashes aren't that flashy. It's not gap to gap power. It's not slug really. It's ass out, flared one, which is fine. I mean, you need those knocks too, but it's not. It doesn't inspire much confidence. It doesn't blow your hair back. Especially for the money. For the money. It's a tough look right now. And yeah, I like Xander a lot. Love how he speaks to the media. Love how he speaks his mind. Love how open he's been to doing things since he got here. But, at some point you got to figure this thing out. It's year 3.
But again, pretty much the same age, maybe just a slightly older than Jurickson Profar. Jurickson can bounce back, then certainly Xander, who has had a much higher caliber of career over the past decade, can come back and have a really good, even an all-star season, couple of seasons for the San Diego Padres.
Correct.
But that's going to be important. No doubt about it. All right, Paulie, you ready for some Rattle Report headlines? And get things started here with our today's edition of the Rindle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Rindle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Gentlemen, we will start. I got a couple of MLB topics here for you. We'll start World Series ticket sale numbers. Resale ticket prices have gone through the roof. We were talking about it before the show this morning. I know you guys got some thoughts. Right now, it is looking like if you want to just get in the door for a World Series game, starting with Friday night in Los Angeles, Game 1, you're looking at about $1,300 to get in the door. That's
getting in the door, standing room.
I don't know if they have standing room at Dodger Stadium, but probably upper deck.
And that sounds right. I think during the NLDS, when I was looking on the ticket apps, you can scroll ahead to the NLCS and the World Series games that have not been played yet and purchase tickets and get a refund if your team doesn't make it.
Yeah.
And I was looking at they had Gallagher Square tickets for like $1,400 back a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not surprised. StubHub said that ticket sales are already surpassing last year's Rangers Diamondbacks World Series, and they are 4 times higher than what they were pacing for the 2022 World Series.
All right, question for you guys. Would you rather pay for 2 nosebleed tickets to get into the World Series at, $2,600, or go to a regular season game in an entire suite catered for about the same price, bring 18 of your friends or whatever? Which experience would you rather have?
Regular season?
Yeah, just a regular season suite.
World Series.
World Series.
I'm
You'd rather
spending that
go
money.
nosebleed, sit in the stands in the World Series.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, being in a World
I
Series
think
game is pretty
I think
elite.
I'd rather watch the World Series game on television and treat myself to the suite at some point. If I'm going to spend that much for a regular
number
season
one,
game.
you're not getting a suite for $2,600. I don't know what, unless you're the White Sox or something.
For
but
one game?
No. No. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
That'd be a bargain.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Unless you're in the south side of Chicago, you might be able to get one for $2,600. You ain't getting one here for $2,600.
Man, that's 20 people in a suite usually, the smaller ones.
Yeah.
All right.
And the food.
So the food is not included in the ticket prices to get in.
Correct.
Because I was budgeting over $100 per person, but
That's way
More than that.
even more than that.
Way more.
Okay.
Vivid Seats is one of the other ticket sale options for you. They're right around $1,350, $1,400 to get in, and that's for Game 1 in LA. If you go to Game 3, Yankee Stadium, what is that, Monday night?
Yep.
Next week, they're already over $1,400 just to get in. It is pretty absurd.
I went to game, whatever it was, the last game of the series against the Braves in 1999 with my dad in Yankee Stadium, old Yankee Stadium. Watch Clemens just pound the Braves. How did he get tickets to that game? He didn't. It's my dad. He ain't paying for it. Okay, so for business hookup or something. But there were like 2 dudes that they snuck in somehow. They did not have seats, they didn't have tickets, and they're like, "Hey, can we stand here?" We're like, do we have a choice?" And there was 4 of us cramped into 2 seats watching that World Series game. I do not know how my dad got tickets to this game, but it was also, 1999. I don't know that they were as expensive as they are now. Those resale sites didn't really exist. You could buy scalper stuff off the street.
It's the best argument you're ever going to find to buy season tickets.
Yeah.
Is the opportunity
to then spend exceedingly
well,
more.
yeah, yes, but at least you're paying face value from the team if you're getting into the playoffs, as opposed to the resale market is nuts.
Yeah.
The resale market is really the crazy prices.
Yeah. It's bananas. And what's the experience worth to you? Now, for a game 1, but a chance to win and watch a World Series clinching game, I had it. I'll never forget it. It was the greatest thing ever. Watching them set cars on fire and stuff after in the Bronx I'll never forget.
Well, you can do that without having a ticket to the game.
That's true. That's also true.
Just go outside.
But you also just won a World Series, so yeah, it's cool.
All right, well, that's for everybody that is interested in going to a World Series game. If you're not going to a World Series game, maybe you're not even interested in watching it, don't worry. Apple TV has got you covered, because they have announced that, we were wondering, are the MLB executives happy with a New York, LA World Series? I'd say yes, because Apple TV has already announced that they will have cameras everywhere throughout the World Series, and they will be putting out a documentary on the Dodgers-Yankees 2024 World Series Fall Classic.
Well, if it goes the way we want to, I'll watch the hell out of it. If it doesn't, I won't. It's pretty simple.
I mean, there's no doubt that TV executives are happy, but there's a segment. I don't think it's just Padres fans. And our friend Ryan Phillips from Sports Illustrated / The Big Lead had a tweet that was getting kind of roasted and retweeted all over the place, and how he has no interest in this World Series.
I don't
between
understand
the Dodgers
his.
and the Yankees.
I love Ryan Phillips. I don't understand his take.
His take is that he wants a real rooting interest in the game.
Fine, all right, but read the whole tweet though.
You have it in front of you? I don't have it in front of me.
Pull it up.
He said,
I love RP.
Rumors and
Scroll down
rants.
and find it here. Yeah. He said, I genuinely couldn't care less about a Yankees-Dodgers World Series.
Okay.
It's always better with an underdog. Watching two teams that outspend everyone isn't interesting.
That's my problem.
That's got 940,000 impressions.
It's insane. Watching two teams that outspend everyone isn't what? Interesting?
Yes.
Okay.
Watching two teams that outspend everyone isn't interesting.
So-
And then he did clarify underneath. He said, by the way, for people reading this, I'm speaking for myself here, not trying to convince anyone of anything. It's the kind of matchup I personally don't really care about.
And that's absolutely fine. And if you had just said, for me, I have no interest, I have no rooting interest in this. You know, this is Hitler versus Stalin. You know, like I've seen that meme going around. Spending money on your team is a good thing, and that's what gets lost in translation for me. Spending money on your teams is a good thing. We need to, as baseball fans, as a collective whole, need to stop thinking that spending money is bad. Spending money is good. It's good. You know, Pirates fans, Rockies fans, those guys are. Who wants to laud their owner for? Man, hey, come here, Ben. I noticed you bought the Padres last year. I'd like to congratulate you on some really smart business decisions that lined your pockets. No. Spending money is good.
But there's no doubt that the more a team spends, the more hated they are.
Of course.
They're the two most hated teams in baseball are probably the Dodgers and the Yankees.
And I don't know it's because
maybe
of
the Red Sox,
I don't know if it's because of the spending. I think it's the
Padres
fan base.
have become exponentially more hated the more they've spent the last few years.
And let's not
pretty direct correlation between the more you spend, the more you are hated.
Let's not act like the Padres weren't spending money, and you'll have spent money, top 5 payroll. You know, so I think. Again, let's get this out of our head that spending money on your team is a bad thing.
I think the word that I would contest in Ryan's tweet is interesting. He says watching two teams that outspend everyone is
interesting.
Interesting. You may think it isn't fun or isn't enjoyable, but it is interesting. This is a very interesting World Series. Maybe one of the most interesting World Series of my lifetime.
Now that will dictate it. You know, the play on the field will dictate it. How do the games go?
Will it be exciting? I don't know.
If it's going to be like Mets Dodgers, it's not going to be that interesting. If it's like Guardians Yankees, it's going to be interesting.
No, I think if it might not be compelling. If the games aren't close, it's not compelling. I think no matter what happens, it's already
it's compelling,
interesting.
Well,
it's definitely of interest to anyone who has any baseball, knowledge, has followed the sport. This has got to be an interesting matchup.
So here's the problem.
You may not like the teams, but they are interesting.
Last year, everybody bitched that it was the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. Everyone bitched, and the ratings were bad. This year, it's the Dodgers and Yankees, and everyone's bitching.
It was a forgetful World Series last year.
We just like to bitch.
Yeah.
We just like to bitch. It's fine. Like, it's fine to bitch. But you can't say this is two of the premier teams in baseball going head to head, laden with stars. Like, this is what you dream about. And you don't have to like the Yankees. You don't have to like the Dodgers. And but I think to call it uninteresting is odd. And then to crucify them for their spending is also odd. Because a lot of teams spend, a lot of teams don't make it. And spending money on your team to get good players is a good thing.
Save your ire for how the sport.
Yeah.
And
Save your ire for the sport.
The teams that don't spend enough. If you want you would rather have a sport like the NFL or the NBA where all teams have to spend the same. And then it comes down to, which teams are smarter and which teams do the best drafting and signing the most savvy free agents, and not simply who has the biggest bank account, which is what baseball, well, not always, but certainly it gives you a big leg up on the rest of the teams.
Who has spent more money on average in the last 20 years? What two teams?
Dodgers and the Yankees.
How many times have they met in the postseason?
0.
Correct.
But you can't deny that the teams that spend the most are the ones who most frequent the postseason. Now, there's always the exceptions, and sometimes, like the Diamondbacks, they even get to the World Series, and sometimes they even win it, like the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
But consistently, if you want to give yourself the most chances to win a World Series, you have to spend money.
Yeah,
you have to.
Yeah, I like when an owner makes money and says, I'm going to put this back into the team. I always have. Carlos says, why don't other teams spend like the Yankees, Mets, Dodgers? I don't know.
They don't make nearly as much money as the Yankees, Mets, and Dodgers do.
But some of them are worth as much, or if not more.
The Dodgers get a check from
I get it.
Time
Their
Warner
TV
for
deal.
$300+ million every
Crazy.
year.
That's all. That's
the
five
Padres
payrolls
get
for
like
the Tigers.
0. So
Right.
they can spend $300 million before they've even started where the Padres start.
Sure.
Essentially, it's not a level playing field.
It is not. There's no question. But then
Now,
by your logic, they should win it every single year.
Can the owner afford it? Yeah, they probably should.
Yeah.
They or the Yankees should.
But the logic is that they should win it every year. Right? But they
don't.
don't.
That's why baseball is such a great sport.
That's right.
You can't always spend your way to a title because there's so many little things.
And just because it happened this year doesn't mean it's bad. Right? That's my take.
Not at all. It should happen every once in a while.
It should.
Absolutely
Yeah.
should. That you have the two most pricey teams that were the number 1 seeds meet in the World Series.
And again, let's not. Kevin's yelling at me in the chat. We spend money. We get high-priced players. Now, they're not always the right ones, but we spend money. We wanted to make sure that we put a top 10, top 5, top 8 payroll together the last few years. And look what's happened. We've had a chance to be in the playoffs. I mean, again, it's the correlation of spending money and doing well. It's a real thing.
It's direct.
Spend money.
And look at the Final Four teams standing.
Spend
3 out of 4
money.
of them.
Spend
Yankees,
money.
Mets, Dodgers.
Spend money. Spend money, spend money, spend money, spend money. Spend your money. You want the best? Go get it. That's it.
Thank you, Paulie.
Thank you, Paulie.
You're welcome.
All right, we will come back. Do you want to still bring up that story you saw from the prep service? I know Woods was excited about it. We don't have time for it yet. But we can do it when we
yes,
come
I
back.
want to bring it up. Are you kidding? It's the best story of the day.
Yeah, we should probably bring that up.
It just has a little bit of audio with it, so we'll fire that up for you when we come back.
Kids say the darndest things.
Yeah, there you go. There's your tease. They don't even know they're saying it. Kind of like me in that way sometimes.
That's true.
After traffic here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
All right, here we go. Black 17 on. That is my number. All right, hit me.
Hamul Casino. Fun.
Do have some San Diego sports news haven't gotten to yet. We have a date.
Is it San Diego sports news or is it San Diego adjacent?
You know, it's directly San Diego sports.
A lot
news.
of San Diego adjacency going on lately.
You know, Tommy Edman, the NLCS MVP, is from San Diego.
I had heard that. La Jolla Country Day.
Yeah. No, this is directly San Diego. We have a date for the first ever San Diego FC game. They haven't released the whole MLS schedule for 2025, but we do know that March 1st at Snapdragon Stadium will be the very first MLS game in San Diego history when they host St. Louis City SC. That'll be 1 week after their road opener at the LA Galaxy up at, used to be the Home Depot Center. What do they call it now? Dignity Health Sports Park.
Dignity Health Sports Park.
In Carson, the home of the LA Galaxy, which means our old buddy Joe Totino will get to call the first San Diego FC game because he's the voice of the LA Galaxy, right? So that is the official date. I'm sure they will come out with the full schedule probably in the next few weeks. But if you're a soccer fan, March 1st.
March 1st.
For the first game for the San Diego FC in their new history.
It's going to be hard for me, man.
You're trying, though. I mean, you're trying with basketball.
It's going to be hard.
Got into it.
It's right.
Wait until you read all the MLS previews next year of which teams are going to be good, and you really have to dive into it for our in-depth look at the MLS season in 2025. You're going to have to do some more work.
It's during baseball season.
Well, it's in spring training.
Fair.
At least the preview section will be in spring training.
Yeah. All right.
That is weird, though. Before the Padres play their next game, we will have a whole new team in San Diego.
Yeah.
San Diego FC will be officially underway.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, kids say the darndest things. Is that what this falls into that category, Paulie?
Yeah, I'd say so. I was perusing the old prep service. Longtime listeners will remember the pandemic. We had a whole segment every day. What does the prep service have? It's a paid subscription service that every radio show in America usually uses.
Love the prep service.
You'll hear the same stories on all your favorite stations throughout the day.
Throughout the day.
And
all making it sound like they unearthed
it. Yes.
Have you heard
this
about
unique story just for you?
The power of radio, my friend.
Exactly. And it was my favorite thing ever when we made it very clear. Hey, we did not find this. We did not organically come up with this idea. And then people would like message us later and be like, I just heard the exact same story verbatim on another show. But as I was looking around, I saw a TikTok that was going viral of a mother filming her young boy. He's in pajamas, and it's a little show and tell, right? Kids get a new toy or they find something cool. They got to do a little show and tell with their parents and show them what they got. And so this kid, he got it's like a toy, a plastic toy ring that goes on your finger, and it's got a small croc on it. And well,
like the shoe.
Yeah, like the sandal, the clog, whatever you want to call it, the Crocs. And it's a little ring.
Like a championship ring, but instead of big diamonds and gold, it's got a Croc shoe.
Croc on it. And, well, I guess, I don't know what else you would call that other than...
It's a croc ring.
A croc ring.
Yeah, croc ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A croc ring.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's for your finger, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the only place.
He's got a croc ring.
He's got a croc ring on it. Cute little kid, dude. Real cute little kid. Croc ring.
So when we were little, we didn't have social media videos of us growing up.
No,
that kid at some point is going to be
the croc ring kid.
An adult.
Yeah.
Will be the croc ring kid.
It's amazing.
We got to be getting close to, if they don't already have, like some documentaries on like kids that were famous on YouTube or something when they were young children. I'd love to see what are they up to now? Like the Charlie Bit My Finger kids, what are they doing? Are they living off Charlie Bit My Finger money?
Oh, yeah, they are.
The 250 million views they got on YouTube or something?
I think they are.
Because all those kids from those early, you remember the mid to late 2000s
Vines,
videos, that went viral. Like those kids are all older now.
It is troubling sometimes, though, how one picture on social media can all of a sudden explode virally.
Yes.
And like when they're just making fun of a person's appearance. There was one this weekend of a
kid with the hair.
College football game who had like 80s TV mom hair is all I can really describe it as.
He was a Texas fan.
Yeah.
And they went, they panned to the sad
in the crowd,
students, which is such a...
Oh, they love to do that.
It's a good bit. But then somebody sees it and it goes
Find somebody in the band
viral.
crying or something because their team lost.
But then they found the kid. Somebody found him on campus and got a picture with him, and he's. I don't think he cares very much.
It's his
he
hair.
Didn't do anything wrong. It's how he looks.
Just his
hair.
It's
just his hair. It's not like he's eating his boogers like Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines the other night. I mean, they find you for everything, so be careful. There's always a camera watching you.
Just has that cut that I just associate with TV moms from the 1980s.
Very
big, but not long.
Helmety,
big helmety hair.
I can see you having some helmet hair in your day.
Yeah, a little bit
of helmet head. Yeah, I have some right now going on. Oh, this is great.
But poor guy, that's you probably in like 5 years he'll be scrolling the internet and it'll pop up on a on a tweet or an Instagram post at some point and go, oh, there I am again with my hair back in college.
Yeah, there I am.
Just everyone's posting it, and you never get away from it.
The dude had some serious
It's not quite flock of seagulls.
No, not even close.
But
he's got some riz.
He's got the height to it, though.
He does. He's got the thing. Like he probably, I'll say it. That guy probably gets a lot of girls.
He didn't go home alone.
He did
that
not
night.
go home alone that night. I promise you, that guy is not lacking in confidence. And he probably loves this attention. He's just chilling with his big ass head of hair, and he's watching his team lose, and they're throwing beer bottles.
He looks confident. I mean, sad as a fan, his team's not doing well, but he looks like a confident kid.
Tell me you guys saw the Matthew McConaughey statement.
No, there's a statement.
I'll find it. I'll read it for you next. It's unbelievable.
We'll come back.
Unbelievable.
Got our final segment of Ben and Woods. Annie and Elston coming up at 10 o'clock. Don't go away. We'll be right back on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, final segment of Ben and Woods. Are you getting excited for the NBA tip-off tonight? You are going to watch.
Yeah, I'm going to watch.
You know, it's bittersweet. The very last season opener for the TNT crew inside the NBA.
Oh, that's right.
Last year.
All right, what time does that start?
Ernie. And so 4:30 is the first game, so they're usually on
4
like an hour before,
3:30.
3:30 or so.
All right.
And then between games and after the games. That's a long night because they have doubleheaders usually on Tuesdays on TNT.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And Thursdays. And then when the playoffs roll around, they're on pretty much every single night. And they're on for hours, like an hours. It's a lot of content
Such
they
a
put
great
together.
show. This is it. This
They
is
are
the
great,
last
yeah.
run.
Charles and Shaq and Kenny.
Was there ever any resolution on that? I know Turner was like suing. And
I mean,
they were trying to get the rights back.
I think the NBA's lawyers have pretty much won out and made it impossible for Turner to match. So it's moving on.
So the
Now,
only thing that could happen is like
they could all move on together somehow. Charles has kind of said, all right, maybe retirement was a little strongly worded in terms of what he's going to do. So they may find a way to get the crew back together at some point. But for all we know, this is the beginning of the last season of those guys. So appreciate it because they really are the best.
They are the best.
Fantastic.
All right, so I saw this. We talked yesterday, and don't do this, about Texas Longhorn fans throwing beer bottles out onto the field.
I wonder where they could have learned that sort of behavior.
We've seen that recently. The only difference is their coach grabbed the mic, asked the fans to stop, and they did, and they cleaned it up. But notable Texas Longhorn alum / unofficial assistant coach / unofficial tight end coordinator / unofficial recruiting chief, Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
Was very upset. Didn't like the loss, obviously, but really didn't like the behavior from his fellow Longhorn alums.
I would think maybe the Texas athletic department asked him for a favor.
I doubt it.
You don't think
much.
so?
No, I think he does a lot.
Because the SEC, if it happens
of
again,
his own volition.
If it happens again, the SEC can like shut down alcohol sales at Texas games. I mean, how much money do you lose if you can't sell alcohol at your sporting events?
They got 100,000 people at these games.
Yeah. So it's, but again, I think he probably said, I'll let me go out and make a statement. Now, I'm from Texas, but I don't do a great Matthew McConaughey. So I figured I'd turn it over to our resident accent specialist, Ben Higgins.
Me?
Yes.
I don't do accents at all.
You have an Irish accent. You have many accents you've done on this show for years.
Will you do this with me? Just because it'll make me feel good. It is time to bless the mood. Are you ready to bless the mood?
I mean, I've got a decent ear, but it's
bless the mood.
Bless.
Are you ready to bless the mood?
All right,
So I'm just trying to help you out.
That's your
All right,
point of
you.
reference
All right.
here. And
Bless.
read his statement.
Bless. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Read his statement.
Longhorn Nation, and specifically our DKR student section, MOC McConaughey coming at you here.
Pause. So you want to do Matthew McConaughey, not Ross Perot. All right. So that one is.
I'm in the Texas ballpark at least.
You're in the state. You're in the state lines.
It's a big state, though.
But it is a big state, and Austin has a little bit different lilt.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit different lilt than
not easy.
Than old Ross Perot. All right. Here we go.
First off, you were electric Saturday night when we hosted Georgia. Bravo. Let's continue to bring it. Even though our Horns didn't get the W, you created a measurable home field advantage.
It's Ross Perot.
But let's get real about the bottle bombing, the field glitch we had. Not cool. Bogey move. Yeah, that call was BS, but we're better than that.
Oh, my God.
Longhorn Nation knows how to show up, show out like no other, and still keep our class. So let's go forward. Let's clean that kind of BS up and leave that behind us for good. We have to shake hands on that. Next up, November 9th, when the Gators come to town. Let's make sure they feel the heat. Can't hear the play calls and burn their timeouts. But remember, nothing hits our field except that Texas fight. Till then, root hard and hook 'em. McConaughey.
Just McConaughey, by the way. If I had said to you, can you read this in Ross Perot voice, it would have been one of... Lorne Michaels might have called you to come do Ross Perot. Holy crap.
Your references are going over anyone like Paul's age or younger's head.
I mean,
Does anyone remember who Ross Perot was?
He ran for president. It needs to be more like, bravo, let's continue to bring it. Even though our Horns didn't get the W, you created a measurable home field advantage. It's not cool, bogey move. It's like that. Everything's real creepy. Think about like a sexual deviant creep. Not that he is, but think about think if you were a sexual deviant creep from Texas, like me. Go ahead and read it like that would sound.
I don't. I can only think of him in the Interstellar when he's like crying, Murph, don't let me go, Murph. Don't let me go. Don't let me go, Murph.
I like this part. So going forward, let's clean all that kind of BS up and leave that behind us for good. We got to shake hands on that.
There is a smarminess to it.
100%. Till then, root hard and hook 'em. McConaughey.
Hook 'em.
It's so good. It's
Hearing
so good.
Ben trying to do a Texas accent, it reminded me of one of my favorite Ben drops that we did not get enough play out of it. I don't even think it made it into the tournament of drops. It was from March of this year. We were doing our Tier 1 tour, and he was talking about the team that won the World Series last year. Bruce Bochy's, how would you say it?
Oh.
The Texas Rangers.
He wasn't trying to do an accent. And we were like, did you just put an accent
That might
on
have been
there?
a better
The
McConaughey than I
Texas
just
Rangers.
did.
That was a better
McConaughey than I just did.
Listening to people from here try to do Southern accents is really, really good. Paulie, can you do a Southern accent?
No.
It's tough. It's
The
tough.
Texas Rangers.
Texas. Texas.
That's a tough accent.
Rangers.
You got to slow everything down.
Got to get my mom on the phone sometime. Hello. That's how she says hello.
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 Yeah, it's this. It's just this weird.
Why can't we just say all the letters that are in the word?
Hello.
That's usually how I approach language.
Yes.
Like I see letters in a word, and I just say those letters.
Correct.
Occasionally, yes, there's some silent letters that I know are not supposed to be pronounced.
But accents do exist. You know.
Yeah.
Say taco.
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 That's how people here say it.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
How do they say it elsewhere?
Taco.
Taco.
Not here. Taco. That's how my wife says it. You guys want tacos?
No.
Yes, she does.
Is
I told,
she
bro,
from the San Fernando Valley?
remember the time? So I had an appointment, and I'll never forget it. I was going to an acupuncturist. I don't even remember what it was for, because why not? And I had like an hour to kill. Weird. So I go down to Jack in the Box, and I'm sitting there, and it's right by the beach. It's right in Cardiff. So it's closed now, but I was sitting there. I got some food, and I'm waiting, and these surfer kids walk in. And I'm sitting there. They're like 4 surfers, blonde hair. They walk in. They're like, hey, man, let me get, they got all their food. The kid sits down. I'll never forget it. He goes, bro, they didn't even give me any taco sauce. And I was like, spit up my food. I was laughing so hard. And in my mind, I was like, remember it. I was driving around going, dude, I didn't even get any taco sauce. And I go, that's the accent that I've been looking for.
I've lived here, I'm coming up on 16 years now.
Taco.
And I've never met one person that talks like Spicoli.
There were 4 of them in Jack in the Box, and they did not get their taco sauce. Dude, it just laid me out.
I definitely grew up with a few people who talked like that.
Yeah, my wife can. She'll bust it out every now and then.
It is definitely rarer today.
Taco.
But I did hear it growing up.
TAHCO. Taco. Taco. Yeah, there it is. Taco. Yeah. So that's it.
All right. Good work on the responsible
accent
behavior from Matthew McConaughey.
and good work on your Ross Perot accent that you have perfected. If we ever need him, is he still alive?
I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, we'll check traffic one more time and then wrap things up here on a Tuesday on Ben and Woods.
It's a Taco Tuesday.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the brand new Front Wave Arena in Oceanside. Folks have been having a tough time navigating our roads this morning, guys. We've had way too many crashes. Northbound 5 past Coronado Avenue, accident in the clearing stage over to the right shoulder. Got another crash up ahead before 6th Avenue. Looks like this one has got the 2 right lanes blocked. Also going to find on the westbound 8, right before Fletcher Parkway, a collision involving a couple vehicles. One went up the right shoulder embankment. Westbound 52, just before the 15, accident involving a couple vehicles. That's over to the right shoulder. Also in the North County, westbound 78 before Nordal Road, we have reports of a collision involving a motorcycle. Everything mostly in the center divide. East 78's got a collision right before the 15. That's over to the right shoulder. The San Diego Clippers are ready for an exciting season at Front Wave Arena. The home opener on November 8th is Bill Walton Night, presented by Front Wave Credit Union. Join the fun as we celebrate Bill Walton and his legacy. You won't want to miss it. Grab your tickets at frontwavearena.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I guess what I always, don't understand about accents, like Boston. You do a pretty good Boston accent. Like, how do they say the name?
Mocky, Ricky, Danny, Terry, Mikey, Davey, Timmy, Tommy, Joey, Robbie, Johnny, and Brian.
Mock, right?
Not mock.
Mock.
Mock. Yeah.
How do you say the word mock? Like, I'm going to mock you.
Mock.
It's the same word.
It's the same word. That's the problem. Well, you can't change one word into another word. That word already exists. Mock.
Don't mock me, Mock.
Don't mock.
Don't mock. Hey, quit mocking Mock. That's it.
It's the same word.
It's the same word.
There's a reason that letter R is in there in the word mark, because it's different than the word mock.
I'm fascinated by accents. I always have been. I am fascinated by them. Philly, scenario. Call me.
Okay.
Call me when you get your phone.
Okay, so
Call me.
what do you put into your barbecue? Like, coal.
Coal.
We can't also call people on the phone.
Sure, it's not the phone. It's the phone. Call me when you get your phone.
I may have to do some homework today because my wife will not watch this with me. But I was scrolling Netflix the other night, and they put out their 30-minute mini documentary on the Phillies fan who garnered all the support for Trey Turner last year.
Yeah.
And when you hover over a show on Netflix, it'll start to show you the trailer.
It plays you 30 seconds, whatever.
Bro, 3 seconds in, it's just the camera's about 3 inches away from this man's big head. And he's like, yo, call me when you get off the phone. It was just like that guy that we always play that drop. I have to go watch this.
Please. That's the documentary?
I don't remember what
Is
it's
it
called.
out?
Yeah, it's out on
It
Netflix
is out.
now. I need to pull some audio from that.
Yeah, I want to hear it. I'm fascinated.
Philly's accent's insane.
Somebody's
Yo, call me when you get your phone.
Phone. It's so good. I'm riveted by it. I'm riveted by accents. You really can't do many.
I cannot.
No.
I know you are fascinated.
I'm fascinated with it.
For sure. We are still, it's Tuesday, right?
Today's, Tuesday.
So the World Series doesn't start still until Friday. So the teams don't even travel. I mean, the Yankees don't even come to Los Angeles probably until tomorrow. And then they'll have a workout day on Thursday, press conferences. So we got a couple of more days of just quietness before the start of the World Series. Now, this was supposed to be handled by Major League Baseball. They made a plan, if the conferences, the league championship series wrap up in 5 games, they were going to start today, the World Series. But because the Mets and the Dodgers went that one extra game to a game 6, they went back to their original plan of starting on Friday.
It's a long time to wait.
So we ended up with actually the maximum amount of time possible between the league championship series and the World Series.
Yeah, it's not what you want.
Had it ended in one fewer game, we'd already be going today.
Yeah.
Had they gone 7, we'd still be maybe even wrapping up one of the series today, and we'd only have a couple of days in between. But because one went 5 and the other went 6, we've actually been given this maximum break between the 2 series.
Yeah, it's not ideal. The playoffs had such momentum.
A little bit.
And it was like I've been a little bit lost without it. But hey, at least we got the NBA starting tonight. Very exciting.
We do.
Monday Night Football last
and
night.
I get it. With TV schedules, they can't just at the last minute decide,
Sure.
wait, we're going to start the World Series 2 days earlier than we thought. They have plans in place for what's going to air and when's it going to air. But it is kind of a buzzkill that we have to wait like 5 days.
Yeah, it's
between
tough.
games.
If you're a fan of one of those teams, or if you're one of those teams, now you get to sweat over. Well, you get to look at the positives and say, well, all right, our bullpen that was pretty taxed is now refreshed, right? We can get our plan in place for what we want to do. The rust part offensively is what you'll worry about. But now you have two teams essentially in the same boat. I mean, the Dodgers wrapped their game up, one day after the Yankees did. So, yeah, I mean, both teams are going to get almost an equal amount of rest. And
Aaron Boone's already named Garrett Cole as his game one starter. I don't believe Dave Roberts has indicated enjoying his October of gamesmanship.
Sure.
And waiting as long as possible. I would suspect it'll be Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
I would guess.
But they have not made that official
yet.
Well,
if Jack Flaherty's feeling better because he was sick last time, it could be Jack Flaherty. You never know.
Why did they switch it around last time?
He pitched really well in that first game.
He did.
Jack pitched really, really well.
But so did Yamamoto.
Yamamoto did too.
Pitched really well in the last game against the Padres and in his game against the Mets as well.
Well, have fun tomorrow. I'll be at Disneyland.
Oh, enjoy. Are you going to call in maybe?
Sure. I'll call in from the road.
On your way in?
Yeah.
Let us know what rides are you looking forward to.
We're going to start with the Star Wars world.
Nice.
And we're going to work our way up.
Rise of the Resistance.
That's right.
All right, Annie and Elston coming up next. For Paulie and Woods, I'm Ben. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Sammy Levitt's going to be in with me at 6 a.m. on The Fan.